Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if female Deku had green magnet quirk part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗵𝗃 from WhatIf. So let's start the video. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Yagi, but your son here is quirkless," said the doctor. That was the day everything changed. Izuku Yagi, son of the number 1 hero All Might and the number 5 hero Green Magnet, was diagnosed quirkless, while his twin sister Izumi Yagi was given a very powerful telekinesis quirk. As the years went on, Izuku was bullied by Izumi, as well as his former friends, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃, and 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃, and his parents completely ignored and neglected him. Then one day when he was in middle school, "Alright class, it's time to start thinking about your futures. But who am I kidding, you all want to be heroes," said the teacher. The class, save for Izuku, starting cheering. "Please. You can't possibly put us in the same league as these extras," said Katsuki. "Ah yes, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃. You, your sister, Izumi Yagi, and the Todoroki twins are applying for the hero course, right?" said their teacher. "Damen, right we are. We're gonna be the top heroes and be richer than All Mights," shouted Katsumi as she and the others showed off their quirks. "Oh, and Izuku Yagi's also applying for the hero course, right?" said the teacher. Katsuki immediately slammed his hand down on Izuku's desk. "Deku, you think UA would want someone as useless as you when they could have people like us?" screamed Bakugo. "Alright Bakugo, settle down," said their teacher. After class, Izuku was about to head home when his sister and the others stopped him. "Deku," shouted Izumi. "What do you want?" said Izuku. Katsuki then grabbed Izuku's notebook from him. "Hey, give it back," said Izuku as he tried to get his notebook back, but they kept it out of reach. "PFFF. What's this?" "Hero analysis for the future. You're pathetic." Izumi laughed. "I thought we told you to give up," said Shoto. "Just give it back," said Izuku. "I got a better idea," said Katsuki as he burned Izuku's notebook with an explosion, then threw it out the window. "No!" screamed Izuku. "Just give up, you useless Deku. You'll never be a hero. You'll never amount to anything," said Katsumi. "And don't bother telling Mom and Dad what we do to you. They won't believe you. They never even pay attention to you," said Izumi. "Come on guys, let's get out of here. We got better things to do than waste our time with a worthless Deku," said Shoko as they all turned to leave. "You know, if you really want to be a hero that badly, there might actually be another way. Just pray that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life. Then take a swan dive off the roof of the building," said Izumi as she and the others laughed at Izuku before leaving. After that, Izuku went and got his notebook out of the fountain. "Stupid," he said to himself. After that, he walked home by himself. When he was walking home, he suddenly started glowing green. "What the?" he said. Next thing he knew, he was launched into the sky, and then he was in some sort of high-tech looking room. "Welcome, human," said a voice. Izuku turned around to see a giant tube with a large floating head in it. "What the WWHO are you?" said Izuku, who was freaking out. "I am Zordon of 𝗪𝗏. I am an interdimensional being caught in a time warp," said Zordon. "And my name is 𝗪𝗏, said a high-pitched voice. Izuku turned around to see a short robot of some sort. "What the?" said Izuku. "Calm down, young Izuku," said Zordon. What do you want even?" asked Izuku, who was still freaked out. "We want you to become one of us," said another voice. Izuku turned around to see 5 people step out of the shadows. "Who are you people?" asked Izuku. "My name is Tommy Oliver," said the man with the beard. "I'm his wife, Kimberly Oliver," said the woman. "My name is Billy Cranston," said the man with the glasses and blue turtleneck. "My name's Zach Taylor," said the black man. "Not trying to be racist. And my name is Jason Scotts," said the man in the red shirt. What do you people want from me?" said Izuku, who was still freaking out. "You probably don't recognize us without our costumes on. Let us show you," said Tommy. "It's morphing time," said Jason. Suddenly, they all pulled out strange devices of some sort that had what looked like coins of some sort inside of them. "Mastodon," shouted 𝗧𝗜𝗧𝗟𝗘, shouted Kimberly. Triceratops, shouted Billy. Tyrannosaurus, shouted Jason. Dragon 𝗬𝗓𝗐, shouted Tommy. Next thing Izuku knew, they were all wearing colorful costumes and had cool helmets. This was Jason's costume, this was Billy's, this was Zach's, this was Kimberly's, and this was Tommy's. Power Rangers, they all said at the same time while doing cool poses. Holy CRP. You guys are the Power Rangers. One of the biggest hero teams in America, said Izuku in shock. That's right, kid, said Tommy as he and the others took their helmets off. What are you guys doing here in Japan? Asked Izuku. We're not in Japan, kid. You're here in America, said Jason. Wait, what? Said Izuku. That's right, Izuku. You were teleported here to the command center, our base of operations, said Zordon. But I gotta get back home to my family, said Izuku. No offense, kid, but we know how your family's actually been treating you, said Zach. How do you know about that? Asked Izuku. I am a sage, Izuku. I know many things, including how your sister and her friends bully you and your parents completely ignore you, just because you don't have a quirk, explained Zordon. You're a sage? Asked Izuku. Yes. It's like I told you, I come from the planet of 𝗳𝗃, but I was trapped in a time warp by an evil sorceress named 𝗳𝗃𝗃 thousands of years ago, to explain Zordon. So this isn't a quirk? Because I'm pretty sure quirks didn't exist thousands of years ago, said Izuku. That is correct, Izuku. The Power Rangers aren't the work of quirks either, said Zordon. Wait, what? Said Izuku as he turned around to face the Power Rangers. That's right, kid. Believe it or not, we're quirkless just like you, said Tommy. You are. I know you never exactly told the public what your quirks are, but I didn't think it was because you didn't have any, said Izuku. Well, we don't, kid. But Zordon chose us anyway because he knew we were worthy of being Rangers, said Billy. But I don't understand. What does any of this have to do with me? Asked Izuku. Well, it's like I said, Izuku. We want you to become one of us, said Tommy. What? Said Izuku in disbelief. More specifically, I want you to take my place as the new Green Ranger, said Tommy. Wait, screamed Izuku in absolute shock. Thing is, I'm retiring soon. We all are, said Tommy. But why? Asked Izuku. We've been doing this for almost 30 years, kid. We're not gonna be around forever. And some of us have families now, said Kimberly. But what makes you think I have what it takes to be the Green Ranger? It's not just because I have green hair, is it? Asked Izuku. No, it's not. I've been watching you for a while now, Izuku. You have a good heart, you only want to help people and make the world a better place. You're still determined to be a hero, despite what your sister and the others keep telling you. That proves you are worthy to be the next Green Ranger, said Zordon. But does that mean I would have to move here to America? Asked Izuku. No, Izuku, it's fine for you to be a Power Ranger in Japan. It's about time there were Power Rangers in other countries besides America, said Jason. So are you in? Asked Tommy. Izuku had his head down and thought about this for a moment. You are an embarrassment to my family, make your own food. I'm not cooking food for a failure. Useless Deku. You'll never amount to anything. You. A hero. Please. Take a swan dive off the roof of the building. Izuku looked back up at them. Will I still be able to attend UA as the Green Ranger? He asked. Of course. And if anyone asks what your quirk is, you can just say it's that you have the ability to transform into the Green Ranger or whatever, said Tommy. Alright. I'm in, said Izuku. Tommy smiled and put his hand on Izuku's shoulder. Good. Welcome to the Power Rangers, kid, said Tommy. After that, Izuku teleported back to Japan. The Rangers gave him a watch that allows him to contact Zordon and the others, as well as teleport to and from the command center. When he got home, his parents didn't notice, since they haven't paid attention to him in over a decade. He went upstairs to his room to do more research on the Power Rangers. He knew there were other Power Rangers teams in America, so he decided to learn more about them. After a bit of research, he decided to go downstairs to the kitchen to get something to eat, but then he heard talking in the living room. He peeked in to see his dad talking to Izumi, Katsuki, Katsumi, Shoto, and Shoka. All right, now I've called the 5 of you here for a reason, said All Might. Well, what is it, Dad? Asked Izumi. Well, you see, my quirk wasn't always mine. It's called One for All. It was given to me by your grandma Nana, Izumi. But I'd like to split it and give it to you 5, since you already all have incredibly powerful quirks, said All Might. But Dad, why not give it to Izuku? He doesn't have a quirk, why not give him one? Asked Izumi. That quirkless brat. Please. We're already planning to disown him once he turns 18, said All Might. Izuku gritted his teeth and went back up to his room. That son of a bitch, he said in his head. The next day, Izuku teleported to the command center in America. When he got there, Tommy and the others were already there waiting for him. Alright Izuku, we're gonna be going to the town near here. It's called Angel Grove, said Tommy. Alright. Are we gonna train there or something? Asked Izuku. Yep. Come on, let's go, said Tommy. When they got there, they entered a place called the Angel Grove Youth Center. When they got inside, Izuku saw tons of people doing karate, yoga, and all sorts of exercises. Wow. This place will be great for training, said Izuku. That's right. This is where me and the other rangers would train all the time when we were your age, said Tommy. Really? Asked Izuku. Yep. Now let's get to work, said Tommy. After that, Tommy had Izuku do some exercises, and then he taught Izuku a few karate moves. After that, they sat at the juice bar to get some drinks to refresh themselves. So I've been meaning to ask you, what's the deal with all the other Power Rangers teams in America? Asked Izuku. What do you mean? Asked Tommy. Well, there are other Power Rangers teams out there in America. There's the Time Force Rangers in that town Silver Hills, there's the Lightspeed Rescue Rangers in that town Mariner Bay, there's the Dino Thunder Rangers in that town Reefside, there's the Beast Morpher Rangers in that town Coral Harbor, there's the Mystic Force Rangers, the Ninja Storm Rangers, the Wild Force Rangers, the Samurai Rangers, the Mega Force Rangers, the Operation Overdrive Rangers, the Jungle Fury Rangers, the Ninja Steel Rangers, and there was also the Zeo Rangers, the Turbo Rangers, and the Space Rangers who were also here in Angel Grove. What's the deal with all of them? Asked Izuku. Some of those teams were created by Zordon, some were created by some other mythical origin, and some were formed by normal humans who also managed to harness the power of the morphing grids, explained Tommy. The morphing grid? Asked Izuku. The morphing grid is this multiversal energy field for all Power Rangers that allows them to morph through and turn into Power Rangers, Tommy explained. Multiversal? You mean there's a multiverse? Said Izuku in disbelief. That's right, it's how we all morph. It's how I'm able to morph into all the Rangers I've been, said Tommy. All the Rangers you've been? You mean you weren't just the Green Ranger? Asked Izuku. That's right. Believe it or not, I wasn't just the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, I was also the Mighty Morphin White Ranger, then for a short period of time I was the White Ninjetti Ranger, then I was the Red Zeo Ranger, then the first Red Turbo Ranger, and later on I was the Black Dino Thunder Ranger, said Tommy. Izuku's eyes widened. Really, he said. Yeah. There was once a time when I lost my Green Ranger powers, but then Zordon gave me the powers of the White Ranger. Later on me, Kimberly, Billy, and the 3 other Mighty Morphing Power Rangers at that time lost our powers, so we went to see someone named Ninja, and he gave us the powers of the Ninjetti Rangers, but we got our normal Ranger powers back not long afterwards. Later on, when the Machine Empire came, me and 4 new teenagers became the Power Rangers Zeo. I was the Red Ranger of that team. Then for a brief period of time I was the Red Turbo Ranger when we were fighting an evil space pirate named 𝗣𝗲𝗍𝗃. And years later I was mentoring the Dino Thunder Rangers, and then I became one myself when I was given access to the Black Dino Gems, explained Tommy. Can you still turn into those Rangers? Asked Izuku. I sure can. With this, said Tommy as he pulled out a special morpher of some sort. What's that? Asked Izuku. It's called 𝗵𝗃𝗃. It allows me to morph into any Ranger I've been before, minus the Ninjetti Ranger since that doesn't really count as one. But pretty soon I won't be able to morph into the Green Ranger since that will be your power, but I'll still have the other 4, explained Tommy. Wow. Does that mean you could? And then Izuku went on one of his mumbling charades. Izuku, are you okay? Asked Tommy in concern. What? Oh, sorry, it's a habit I have, said Izuku. Oh yeah. Zordon said you have a mumbling habit, said Tommy. Hey, will I ever get a 𝗵𝗃𝗃 morpher? Asked Izuku. Maybe when you're older, and if you ever become more than just the Green Ranger, said Tommy as he put his 𝗵𝗃𝗃 morpher away. Hey, how did you become a Power Ranger in the first place? If you don't mind me asking. said Izuku. Well, it all started right here at the youth center actually, almost 30 years ago. They were having a martial arts tournament right over there, said Tommy, pointing to a mat where two people were sparring. As for me, I was the new kid in town. I had just moved to Angel Grove. I wasn't much older than you are right now, Izuku. I was up against Jason in the final match. It ended up being a tie. But little did I know, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗍 was watching the fight from her moon palace with this telescope she had that let her see anywhere on Earth. She saw how I was able to almost beat Jason, so she thought I'd be perfect to become her evil Green Ranger, said Tommy. Izuku's eyes widened. Wait. I remember when you made your debut you were actually against the Power Rangers. But they told the public that you were under the control of a villain, said Izuku. That's right, the villain was 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗍. The next day was when I first talked to Kimberly. I was at school and I saw these two punks named 𝗵𝗃 and 𝗧𝗏 hitting on her, but she wasn't interested, so I scared them both off with some karate moves. After that, Kimberly asked me if she wanted to hang out with her and a few others here at the youth center after school. I said sure. After school I was gonna go meet them here, but when I decided to take a shortcut through an alleyway I was ambushed by putties, said Tommy. Oh yeah. Putties are the henchmen you and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fought, right? Asked Izuku. Yep. I managed to take the putties down, but then Rita put me under her spell and turned me into her evil Green Ranger. After that I did a lot of things I'm still not proud of, even to this day. I attacked the Rangers, nearly destroyed Zordon and Alpha, and I was JRK to Kimberly when she asked me why I didn't show up to the youth center, said Tommy with his head down. It wasn't your fault, Tommy. You weren't in control, said Izuku. I know, but still. Anyways, eventually the Rangers managed to free me from Rita's spell and I joined them, since I still had my Green Ranger powers. And then you know what happened from there. We eventually went our own separate ways and other Power Ranger teams started popping up all over the country. But eventually me and most of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers got back together, he said. What about the Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger? She's not with you guys anymore, said Izuku. Tommy sighed. Oh yeah, Trini. She's dead. She died in a car accident a long time ago. We've been looking for a replacement for her for a while now, said Tommy. I'm so sorry, said Izuku. It's fine. We all took her death pretty strong though. Especially Billy, since he and Trini were married, said Tommy. Oh, they were, said Izuku. Yeah. They even had a daughter, named 𝗧𝗏 𝗵𝗃. She's about the same age as you. Zordon's considering choosing her to be the new Yellow Ranger, but Billy's not comfortable with it. 𝗧𝗏's all he has left and he doesn't want to lose her, said Tommy. I can understand why. He's just trying to be protective of his daughter, said Izuku. Me and Kimberly also have a kid. We have a son. His name's James Oliver. He's also about the same age as you. Me and Kimberly are training him to be the new White Ranger, said Tommy. That's great. I'm sure he'll be a great ranger, said Izuku. Thanks, Izuku. Now what do you say we get back to training? Said Tommy. Yeah, said Izuku. For the next 10 months Izuku trained strong. Tommy and the other rangers taught him karate and many other things. Meanwhile, All Might had Izumi and the others clean up Dagobah Beach. Then, with less than 1 month away until the entrance exams, Izuku was back at the command center. He stood in front of Zordon, the other rangers and Alpha standing there behind him. You have done well in your training, young Izuku. You are now ready to receive the powers of the Green Ranger, said Zordon. Thank you, Zordon, said Izuku. Here is your morpher, said Zordon. Suddenly, Izuku felt something on his belt. He looked down to see that he now had a Power Ranger morpher attached to it. He took it off to look at it, while he said. Tommy then stepped forward and gave Izuku his Green Ranger power coin. Here you go, Izuku. It's yours now, said Tommy. Izuku inserted the power coin into the morpher. Go for it, said Tommy with a smirk on his face. Izuku took a deep breath. It's morphing time, he shouted. Dragon Z, shouted Izuku while raising his morpher. There was a flash of green light. When Izuku opened his eyes, he realized he was wearing the Green Ranger costume. Oh my god. This is amazing. I've never felt anything like this, said Izuku in excitement. DMN right. You're now the Green Ranger. Make us proud, kids, said Tommy. Congratulations, Izuku. You now have the powers of the Green Ranger. Use it well, said Zordon. "I will, Zordon," said Izuku. "And may the power protect you always," said Zordon. Izuku had just gotten his Green Ranger powers, and he was ready to learn how to use them. He was currently with Tommy in the forest. "Alright Izuku, we're here 'cause you're gonna learn how to use your Green Ranger abilities. So morph up," said Tommy. Izuku took out his morpher. "It's morphing time," he shouted. "Dragon ZD," shouted Izuku. "Okay, now what?" asked Izuku, who was now the Green Ranger. "Well, now we're gonna fight," said Tommy with a smirk on his face. "Wait, what?" said Izuku. "That's right. You need to be ready for anything, including fighting someone just as powerful as yourself," said Tommy as he pulled out his 𝗵𝘃𝗲 morpher. "𝗬𝗲𝗧𝗟𝗘," he shouted. He was then the Mighty Morphin White Ranger. "Whoa," said Izuku in disbelief. Tommy then charged at Izuku and swung at him with 𝗧𝗲𝗏, but Izuku pulled out the dragon dagger and blocked it. Izuku shoved Tommy off with his dagger, then swung at him with it, but Tommy just blocked it with 𝗧𝗲𝗏. Izuku did a karate kick in the air, but Tommy ducked under it, then kicked Izuku a few feet back. Tommy then fired a few blasts of energy at Izuku with 𝗧𝗏𝗏. But then, in a split-second reaction, Izuku blew into the dragon dagger through his helmet and played it like a flute, although it sounded like a horn, and a force field appeared in front of him, shielding him from the blasts. "Impressive. You knew to go right for the dragon dagger and use it to increase the protection of your 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗔 piece," said Tommy. "Yeah. I've done my research on almost every pro hero, including you and the other Rangers. I've always wondered how you were able to play this thing like a flute, even though it sounds like a horn, and how you were able to play it through the helmet which was covering your mouth up," said Izuku looking at the dragon dagger. "Yeah, even I don't really know how it's able to do that. But it can do a lot more too, but we'll get to that later. Now let's see if you can handle fighting my other 4 Ranger forms," said Tommy. "Wait, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 Ranger 5. Red," shouted Tommy as he morphed into the Red Zeo Ranger. After that, Izuku fought Tommy in all his other Ranger forms. He fought him as the Red Zeo Ranger, the Red Turbo Ranger, and the Black Dino Thunder Ranger. After a little while, Izuku and Tommy unmorphed and sat down to catch their breath. "You did good today, kid. I'm proud of you," said Tommy. "Thanks. It's weird, the moment I morphed into the Green Ranger I instantly knew how to use all the powers and abilities. It's like all the information was downloaded into my head," said Izuku. "That's right. When you morph, the information is automatically downloaded into your mind, so it feels like you've known how to do all this stuff your whole life. It feels weird at first, I know," said Tommy. 1 week later, Izuku and Tommy were standing in the middle of the desert. "So why are we out in here in the middle of nowhere again?" asked Izuku. "Well, first of all, we're waiting for someone to get here," said Tommy. "Who is it?" asked Izuku. Suddenly there was a flash of black light and a man teleported near them. "Here he is now," said Tommy as they walked over to him. "Hey Adam," said Tommy. "Hey Tommy, it's been a while," said Adam as he and Tommy did a manly handshake, or whatever it is you call it. "Who's this?" asked Izuku. "This is 𝗵𝗃𝗃, the second Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, the Green Zeo Ranger, and the first Green Turbo Ranger," said Tommy. "Nice to meet you, you must be Izuku. Tommy and the others have told me a lot about you," said Adam as he and Izuku shook hands. "Wait, second Mighty Morphin Black Ranger. You mean it wasn't always Zack?" asked Izuku. "Yeah, there was a time when Zack, Jason, and Trini left, but that's a story for another. Anyways, the reason we're all out here is because this is a good place to summon the Dragon Zord. Since it's out here where there's no people around," explained Tommy. "Wait, the Dragon Zord? You mean that giant robot you could summon as the Green Ranger?" said Izuku in shock. "That's right. You never know when there's gonna be a giant monster or something, so you need to be ready. So you're gonna have to learn how to summon it, control it, and fight with it. That's why I called Adam here. He agreed to help you learn how to use the Dragon Zord to fight other giant enemies," said Tommy. "How would he help?" asked Izuku. "I'm gonna summon my Lion Thunder Zord and you're gonna have your Dragon Zord go up against it," explained Adam. "After that the Dragon Zord's gonna go up against the White Tiger Zord, but we're gonna start with something small first," said Tommy. "So how do I summon the Dragon Zord?" asked Izuku. "Well, first, morph into the Green Ranger," instructed Tommy. "Okay," said Izuku as he pulled out his morpher. "Dragon Zord," he shouted. "Okay, now what?" asked Izuku, who was now the Green Ranger. Well now Adam here's gonna morph into the Black Ranger, said Tommy. It's morphing time, said Adam as he whipped out his old Black Ranger morpher. Mastodon, he shouted. Okay, I'm ready, said Adam, who was now the Black Ranger. You know what to do, Adam, said Tommy. Adam nodded. Mastodon Lion Thunderzord power, shouted Adam. Suddenly, the ground started shaking. Izuku turned around to see what looked like a giant black robot woolly mammoth heading towards them. When it got closer to them, it transformed into what looked like a giant black robot lion. Alright, I'll get inside it, said Adam before teleporting inside the Lion Thunderzord. Alright Izuku, take out your dagger, said Tommy. Izuku removed the dragon dagger from his belt. Okay, now what? He asked. You're gonna do the same thing you did last week in the woods, when you played the dagger like a flute and used it to make your chest plate stronger. Only this time you'll use it to summon the Dragonzord, explained Tommy. Oh, now I remember. You would use this to summon the Dragonzord by playing it. I just need to play the same tune from before, said Izuku. Exactly. Only this time you think of summoning the Dragonzord while doing it, not increasing your CGST piece's strength, said Tommy. Alright then, let's do this, said Izuku as he put his dagger up to his mouthpiece. He started playing the tune. It's this, but Izuku's standing in the desert, not on top of a building. Also, the Dragonzord emerges in front of a nearby beach, not the docks. Suddenly, the ground started shaking even more than when the Lion Thunderzord came. Izuku and Tommy turned around to see the Dragonzord heading towards them. It let out a mighty roar. Alright Izuku, position it in front of Adam's Zord, instructed Tommy. Izuku guided the Dragonzord in front of Adam and his Lion Thunderzord, with a few yards between them. Alright, the rules are simple. Whoever manages to knock the other one over first, wins. Alright, explained Tommy. Alright, said both Izuku and Adam. Adam, are you ready? Asked Tommy. I'm ready, said Adam from the cockpit of his Zord. Izuku, are you ready? Asked Tommy. Oh yeah, I'm ready, said Izuku. Begin, said Tommy. The two Zords clashed at one another. The Dragonzord fired missiles from its fingers at the Lion Thunderzord, but its heavy armor protected it. The Lion Thunderzord rammed the Dragonzord's feet, causing it to stumble backwards and almost lose balance. In the end, the Dragonzord managed to defeat the Lion Thunderzord by tipping it upside down and not giving it a change to get back up. Izuku is the winner, Tommy declared. After that, Adam teleported out of the Lion Thunderzord and unmorphed. Sorry if I went too rough on you, Adam, said Izuku. No, it's fine. I wanted you to give it your all, said Adam. What about your Thunderzord though? It looks pretty banged up, asked Izuku in concern. It's fine. Zordon can fix it, said Adam. After that, the Lion Thunderzord teleported away. Alright, now it's my turn, said Tommy as he pulled out his morpher. 𝗧𝗪𝗏, he shouted as he morphed into the White Ranger. Alright Saba, you ready? Tommy asked his sword. Yes, I am, said Saba. Oh, it can talk, said Izuku. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Meet Saba, he's a magical talking sword that Zordon gave me. Saba, say hi to Izuku, said Tommy as he held Saba in front of Izuku upside down, since his head was at the bottom of the hilt. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Izuku, said Saba. Pleasure to make your acquaintance too, Saba, said Izuku. Alright Saba, let's do this, said Tommy as he held Saba upside down and lifted him into the air. Activate the Tigerzord, said Saba. Tigerzord power up, shouted Tommy. Suddenly, they saw the Tigerzord running towards them at full speed. Tommy jumped on top of it and rode it over to the Dragonzord. The Dragonzord got in position in front of the Tigerzord. No offense, Tommy, but your Tigerzord seems kinda small compared to my Dragonzord, said Izuku, smirking under his helmet. Looks can be deceiving, said Tommy before going inside the cockpit of the Tigerzord. Start the video at 0:08, stop at 0:20. I stand corrected, said Izuku. Alright Izuku. Same rules as before. Whoever manages to knock the other one to the ground first wins. As soon as Adam says begin, we go. Got it, said Tommy. Got it, said Izuku. And begin, shouted Adam. The Dragonzord and Tigerzord clashed at one another. The fight was long and strong. The Dragonzord fired finger missiles at the Tigerzord, while the Tigerzord punched the Dragonzord repeatedly. In the end, the Dragonzord managed to charge at the Tigerzord and knock it to the ground. Izuku is the winner, Adam declared. After that, Tommy got out of the Tigerzord and unmorphed, and the Tigerzord teleported away. Izuku also unmorphed and the Dragonzord teleported away. You've done well, Izuku. You managed to beat both me and Adam in Zord combat. You're ready, said Tommy. Thank you, Tommy, said Izuku. 1 week later, Izuku stood in front of UA, ready to take the entrance exam. 1 hour earlier, Izuku was back at the command center in front of Zordon. All right, Izuku. Today is the day of the entrance exam at UA. The principal there already knows that you're a Power Ranger, just so you know, said Zordon. Wait, what? Said Izuku. Do not be alarmed. The principal there has known about the Rangers for some time. Me and him are old friends, and he has promised not to tell anyone about your Ranger origins. He also said one other thing, said Zordon. Well, what is it? Asked Izuku. Back to the present, this is it. All my trainings lead to this, said Izuku in his head. He took 1 step forward, then tripped on his shoelaces. Or I can just die, said Izuku in his head. He braced himself to hit the ground, but after a second he didn't feel anything. He opened his eyes to see he was floating. He turned his head to see a cute girl with short brown hair, brown eyes, a round face, and blush marks on her cheeks, standing there next to him with her hand on him. Sorry for using my quirk without asking. But it would be bad luck to fall on the first stage, said the girl as she put her fingers together, and Izuku was back on his feet. Izuku was a blushing, stuttering mess. 𝗳𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗧𝗏 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗃. Nice to meet you, said 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗃. Izuku was still a stuttering mess. Anyways, bye, said 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗃 as she walked away and entered the building. Oh my god, a girl talked to me, said Izuku in his head. After that he went inside the building. He then went to the presentation, which was presented by Present Mike. After that, Izuku and the others stood in front of the entrance to Training Ground A. He saw 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗃 in the front and was about to go thank her for stopping him from falling, when the dude with glasses who interrupted the presentation earlier stopped him. What are you doing? Are you trying to sabotage her? Said the dude with the glasses. Izuku was off by this. No, calm down. I was just gonna begin. Screamed Present Mike from the speaker. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗓, shouted Izuku as he morphed into the Green Ranger. What the? Screamed the dude with glasses. Izuku rushed in first to the training grounds. When he entered, he was greeted by multiple robots, but he made short work of them. He still left a few for the others though. Meanwhile, Nizu, Toshinori, Inko, and all of the other teachers watched the teenagers trash the robots. Izumi and the Todoroki twins had gotten in on recommendation, so they were doing those tests instead. The Bakugo twins were in Training Ground B. Inko and Toshinori smirked as they watched Izumi, the Todoroki twins, and the Bakugo twins ace their tests with 1 for all. But then they noticed a person in a green outfit and helmet, destroying multiple robots with a dagger. Wait, isn't that Green Ranger guy from America? Asked All Might. Not necessarily. He's the new one. The original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are retiring soon, and he's the one who's taking the original Green Ranger's place, explained Nizu. Shouldn't he be in America then? Asked Inko. No. He's from here in Japan. He's hoping to become the first Japan-based ranger, explained Nizu. Well, who is he? Asked Toshinori. You really don't know, do you? Said Nizu. Know what? Asked Inko. Never mind. Let's just bring out the 0-pointer, said Nizu as he pressed a button. Back with Izuku. Izuku had just finished trashing multiple robots with his dragon dagger when suddenly he felt the ground shaking. Next thing he knew, there was a giant robot rampaging through the fake city. The others were running away, and Izuku was about to too when he heard someone calling for help. It was 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗃. She was trapped underneath some rubble and the 0-pointer was about to step on her. It's that nice girl from earlier. She's in trouble, said Izuku in his head as he realized what he needed to do. He pulled out the dragon dagger and put it up to his mouthpiece. Good thing I already got permission to do this, said Izuku in his head. 1.5 hours earlier. Well, what is it? Asked Izuku. He gave you permission to summon the Dragonzord, but only in case of an emergency, said Zordon. Back to the present, Izuku played the tune and the Dragonzord came crashing through one of the buildings. Holy CRP, there's another robot too, screamed one of the teens. How are we supposed to defeat that thing? Screamed another teen. They never said anything about a dinosaur robot, screamed the dude with glasses. Relax. That thing's mine, said Izuku. What? You can't do that. Screamed the dude with glasses. Yes I can, I got permission. Now shut up while I save this girl, said Izuku. The Dragonzord attacked the 0-pointer. It charged at the 0-pointer and knocked it away from Ochako. It then swung its mechanical tail at the 0-pointer and fired multiple finger missiles at it, destroying it and blowing it to pieces. After that Izuku ran up to Ochako and lifted the rubble and pulled her out from under. He then carried her bridal style back to the others. The alarms then blared, signaling that the exam was over. Is your foot okay? Asked Izuku. It hurts a little. But I'll be fine, said Ochako. I got this, said a short old lady dressed as a doctor superhero walking over to them. She Ochako's leg and it was all better. Ochako looked back up at Izuku. Who are you? She asked. Izuku took off his helmet. I'm the Green Ranger, said Izuku. Whoa, the Green Ranger, said one of the teens. What's he doing here in Japan? Said another teen. The Green Ranger's been around for like 30 years. This guy's the same age as us, said another teen. No. I'm the new Green Ranger, said Izuku. And you can summon that giant robot Godzilla just like that, said one of the teens. Well, first off, it's called the Dragonzord. And second, yes I can. Wave to the people, Dragonzord, shouted Izuku to his giant robot. The Dragonzord waved at the people down below. You can't just have that thing here, said the dude with glasses. Yes I can. Like I said, I got permission from the principal to bring it in, but only in case of emergencies. This girl's life was in danger and no one seemed to be doing anything to help her, so I thought that counted as an emergency, explained Izuku. Well, can you get rid of it now that the exam is over? Asked the dude with glasses. Sure, said Izuku. The Dragonzord then teleported away. What the? Said all the teens. Meanwhile, with the teachers, they just witnessed the Green Ranger summon a giant robot dinosaur and obliterate the 0-pointer. What? He can't do that, said Toshinori. Yes he can. I gave him permission to, said Nizu. They then saw the Green Ranger rush over to a brunette girl who was trapped underneath some rubble. He lifted the rubble up and carried her back to the others. Then they saw the Green Ranger take off his helmet. Inko's and Toshinori's eyes widened. Izuku, they both said in shock. You really didn't know? Asked Nizu. No. Why would we pay any attention to someone who's quirkless? Sneered Toshinori. You ignore your own child just 'cause he doesn't have a quirk? Said Aizawa in disgust. Yeah. So what? Asked Inko. We'll talk about this later, said Nizu, glaring at them both. After the exam, Izuku was about to leave when Ochako ran up behind him. Hey, thanks again for saving me, she said. No problem. Just doing my job, said Izuku. Hey, can I walk home with you? Asked Ochako. Sure, said Izuku. After that they walked home together. Hey, I never got your name, said Ochako. It's Izuku, said Izuku. Izuku who? Asked Ochako. Just Izuku, said Izuku as he avoided eye contact with her. After that they got to the subway station. Well, here's my train. Hope we end up in the same class together, Izuku, said Ochako. Me too. See ya around, Uraraka, said Izuku. After that Ochako got on the subway heading to her home, and Izuku got on the subway heading to his. When Izuku got home he was greeted by his parents. How the hell did you become a Power Ranger? Demanded Toshinori. And why haven't you told us? Demanded Inko. Oh, so now you care about what I do. You haven't paid attention to me in over a decade. And now that I have powers you're suddenly interested. Go F yourselves, said Izuku before going up to his room. A few weeks later Izuku was in his room on his computer, doing more research on Power Rangers. Izumi. Izuku. Your letters from UA are here, shouted All Might from downstairs. Izuku and Izumi went downstairs to get their letters. Izuku got his letter and went back up to his room. He opened it up and got a holodisc. He turned it on and it showed a holographic screen and it showed a large mouse/bear creature thing in a suit. Hello Mr. Yagi, I'm Principal Nizu. I'm the principal here at UA High. I'm here to tell you that you have gotten the highest score in the entrance exam. You destroyed multiple robots. And even earned some rescue points from saving that girl from the 0-pointer. So congratulations Mr. Yagi, you're an official student here, said Nizu before the video stopped. Izuku was crying. Not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. He was finally one step closer to becoming a hero. The next day Izuku teleported to the command center, where he was greeted by Tommy and the others. Guys, I got into UA, said Izuku. That's great. We knew you could do it, said Jason. I'm proud of you Izuku. You've proven that you're capable of handling the power of the Green Ranger, said Tommy. We saw what happened at the entrance exam from the viewing globe. We can't believe you actually had to summon the 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘, said Kimberly. Ay. Who would have thought that UA would bring out a robot as big as the 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗟𝗘, said Alpha. Principal Nizu has a very twisted mind. He likes to cause chaos, but he only has the best intentions for his students, said Zordon. Well anyways, I gotta get to UA soon. Today's my first day and all. Bye guys, said Izuku. Bye Izuku, said everyone. After that Izuku teleported near UA. He entered the building and made his way to the 1A classroom. He stood in front of the door. Oh, that's one big door, said Izuku in his head. As soon as he opened it he saw Katsuki and Katsumi sitting at their desks with their feet on them, and the dude glasses from the entrance exam mouthing them off. Get your feet off those desks this instant. That is extremely disrespectful to this academy, shouted the dude with glasses while doing some sick kung fu of some sort with his hands. Just my luck. I had to be put in the same class as these, said Izuku in his head. The dude with glasses then saw Izuku in the doorway and ran over to him. I would like to start over. I'm Tenya Ida from 𝗬𝗵𝗲 𝗵𝗃, said Ida. 𝗬𝗵𝗲. So you think you're better than us, huh? Said Katsumi. Mind your own DMN business you too, said Izuku. Deku. They both screamed in shock and anger. Hey, I recognize that messy hair. Izuku, said a familiar voice from behind him. He turned around to see Ochako standing there. Oh, it's Uraraka. She looks good in that uniform, said Izuku in his head. Thanks again for saving me from that giant robot with your own giant robot, said Ochako. Thanks, said Izuku while trying to hide his blush. If you're here to make friends then leave, said a voice from behind them. They turned around to see what looked like a giant caterpillar lying there on the floor. Welcome to UA's hero course, said the caterpillar before taking out an applesauce pouch and sipping it. What the hell is that thing? Said Izuku, Ochako, and Ida in their heads in horror. Calm down, said the man as he got out of his sleeping bag and entered the classroom. After that Izuku and the others took their seats. Izumi and Shoto entered the classroom and walked over to Izuku who was sitting at his desk. Move, said Izumi. No, said Izuku. That's my desk. Move, said Izumi. I was here first, sis. Go away, said Izuku. She said move, said Shoto. And I said go away, said Izuku. That's it, said Shoto as he was about to grab Izuku, but then Izuku grabbed him and slammed him into the ground. You really want to try me, beach? Asked Izuku. Kid, that's enough. Let him go, said the man with the sleeping bag. Izuku let him go and Izumi helped Shoto back up and he dusted himself off. Are you okay, babe? Asked Izumi. I'm fine, said Shoto while glaring at Izuku. And I don't ship this. I just saw other people having them be a thing in their Izuku Yagi books, so I thought I'd do it too. The man with the sleeping bag glared at Izumi and Shoto. And you too, it's his seat. He was there first. So the two of you sit in the very back of the class, said Aizawa. Izumi's and Shoto's eyebrows furrowed, but you can't dash. Yes, I can. Now sit in the back, said the man. Izumi and Shoto grumbled and sat in the back row. Everyone here. I'm Shota Aizawa. I'll be your teacher for the next 3 years, said Aizawa as he stood at the podium. Aizawa then pulled out a P uniform. All of you put these on and go to the training grounds, instructed Aizawa. After that they all changed into their PE uniforms and went outside to the training grounds, where Aizawa explained to them what they were going to be doing. A quirk apprehension test, they all screamed. Yes, said Aizawa. But what about orientation? We're gonna miss it, said Ochako. I'm the teacher, I can do whatever the hell I want. Now here's how it's gonna go. Each of you will do 8 tests. The person with the lowest score gets expelled, said Aizawa. What? They all screamed. You can't expel someone on the first day. I mean, I'm fine with Deku leaving but not anyone else, said Shoka. Yeah, F you too, Beach, said Izuku. Alright, let's get started, said Aizawa. After that, the students did the tests. The first test was where they had to throw ball as strong as possible. Izumi, the Bakugo twins, and the Todoroki twins managed to throw them super far using OFA combined with the quirks they already had. Alright Yagi, you're up next, said Aizawa. It's just Izuku, said Izuku as he stepped forward. Like that useless Deku will be able to do anything, said Katsuki. Bakugo, shut up, said Aizawa. Izuku's pulled out his morpher. What is that? Asked Ida. It's a support equipment. It's to help with my quirk. Don't worry, I have permission to use it, said Izuku. It's true he does, said Aizawa. Don't lie to us, Deku. You don't have a quirk, said Izumi. Oh really, said Izuku. Dragon Ziti, shouted Izuku as he morphed into the Green Ranger. What the hell, said Izumi, the Bakugo twins, and the Todoroki twins. Izuku threw the ball with tremendous strength. After that, the class did the rest of the tests. Izuku did pretty well on them, since he's already done exercises like this. At the end, Aizawa showed them their scores. Izuku had one of the highest scores, while the person with the lowest score was Minoru Mineta. Sorry Mineta. Pack your things and leave, said Aizawa. Wait, you were serious about expelling someone, said Momo. No. I didn't get to touch any of the girls' bub yet, screamed Mineta. Get out of here, you pervert, said Izuku. At the end of the day, they all went home. Izuku was about to leave when Ida placed his hand on Izuku's shoulder. Mind if I walk home with you, he asked. Sure, I guess, said Izuku. Hey, can I come too? Asked Ochako. Sure, why not, said Izuku. After that, the three of them walked home together. They were about to reach the train station when suddenly they were ambushed by Izumi, the Todoroki twins, and the Bakugo twins. What do you want? Said Izuku. You think you can just march into UA and act like you're worth something? We're here to put you in your place, said Katsuki, creating one for all powered explosions in his hands. That is a violation of the law, said Ida, doing his normal hand gestures. Shut up, Four Eyes. You and Round Face stay out of this, said Katsumi. You don't want to do this, said Izuku. And why is that? Asked Izumi. Because then we'll have to arrest you kids, said a voice from behind them. Izumi, Katsuki, Katsumi, Shoto, and Shoka all turned around to see Jason as the Red Ranger, Billy as the Blue Ranger, Zack as the Black Ranger, Kimberly as the Pink Ranger, and Tommy as the White Ranger. Who the F are you supposed to be? Said Shoto. We're the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, kid. And you better leave our new Green Ranger alone before we kick your ch, said Jason. Izumi turned back to Izuku. Since when are you a Power Ranger, Deku? Aren't they from America? She said. I'm the first one to be based here in Japan, said Izuku. And you kids better leave him alone, or we'll arrest you all for using your quirks without a license, said Tommy. Oh yeah. How about you lot F off before we blow you to bits, said Katsumi as she and Katsuki created explosions from their hands. Oh, so you can create explosions, huh? Well, so can we, said Kimberly as she and the other Rangers all did cool poses, causing an explosion to appear behind them. Oh yeah, I forgot they could do that, said Izuku. You think you can tell us what to do? Eat this, screamed Katsuki as he was about to fire an explosion at the Rangers, but Tommy stopped him by grabbing his wrist and twisting it. Let go of me, screamed Katsuki. Make me, said Tommy. Tommy let him go. He's not worth it, said Izuku. Fine, said Tommy, letting Katsuki go. Now why don't you kids run along? We are pro heroes and we can arrest you, said Kimberly as she and the others held up their hero licenses. Come on guys, let's get out of here. We got better things to do, said Izumi. The Bakugo and Todoroki twins glared at Izuku. This isn't over, Deku, said Katsuki. After that they left. The Rangers walked over to Izuku, Ochako, and Ida. You kids okay? Asked Tommy as he and the others unmorphed. We're fine. What are you guys doing here though? Asked Izuku. We were on our way to go visit you and we saw those about to attack you and your friends. So we decided to intervene, said Tommy. Well, thanks for the help. That could have gotten ugly if you didn't show up, and not for us, said Izuku. Izuku, who are these people? Asked Ida. This is Tommy Oliver. He's my mentor, and the original Green Ranger and White Ranger. This woman is his wife 𝗵𝗃𝗲, she's the original Pink Ranger. This is Jason Scott, he's the original Red Ranger. This is Zack Taylor, he's the original Black Ranger. And this is Billy Cranston, he's the original Blue Ranger, said Izuku. Nice to meet you kids. You must be Izuku's friends, said Tommy. We are. Thanks for your help, 𝗧𝗟𝗘, said 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏. No problem. We're glad to help, said Kimberly. After that they all went to the train station together. All right Izuku, we'll see tomorrow, said Tommy. Bye guys, said Izuku. Bye Izuku, said the Power Rangers. After that Izuku, 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏, and Iida all got on the subway and headed home. The next day Izuku and the others were sitting in class. I am, said a voice from outside the classroom. Oh no, said Izuku in his head as he recognized the voice. Coming through the door like a normal person, shouted All Might as he entered the classroom with Inko right behind him. Holy 𝗬𝗵𝗲 All Might in green magnet, said Kaminari. And All Might's in his Silver Age costume. It's so retro, said Ojiro. Hello students. Welcome to Heroing 101. Here you will learn what it takes to be a hero, said All Might. Like you'd ever know what it really means to be a hero, old man, said Izuku in his head. But the first step to being a hero is, said All Might. Suddenly multiple suitcases ejected out of the wall. Looking good, said All Might. Now put these on and meet us at the training grounds, said Inko. After that they all changed into their hero costumes. This is Izumi in her costume. This is Katsumi in hers. She also has the gauntlets and the mask, and this is Shoka in hers. She doesn't have the burn on her face though. The rest of the students' costumes were the same as in the show. Izuku was wearing just a green t-shirt and jeans. Izuku, where's your costume? Asked Iida. Izuku pulled out his morpher. I have it all stored in here, he said. Your Green Ranger costume is cool, Izuku. I should have been more specific with my costume. It's skin tight, not really my style, said 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 blushing slightly. Izuku also blushed from seeing 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏's skin-tight outfit. A/N. Yes, this is an Izuchi book. If you got a problem with that then leave. You all look great. Most of you anyway, said All Might while glaring at Izuku. Alright, so here's what's gonna happen. You'll each be split into teams of 2. One team will play the role of heroes, while the other will play the role of villains. The villain team's job is to guard a fake bomb, while the hero team's job is to try and stop them, said Inko. Now to pick teams, said All Might as he reached into a box that had names in it. And the hero team is 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 and Izuku Yagi, but he will not be participating in the training because he's quirkless. So instead his sister Izumi Yagi will take his place, said All Might. He has a quirk, said Kirishima. No he doesn't. He's quirkless and has no place here, said Inko. You can't do that to me. Just because I supposedly have no quirk doesn't mean you can treat me differently than the others, said Izuku. Yes we can, Boing, growled All Might. You wanna go, old man? Said Izuku as he had his morpher ready. Mom? Dad? Izuku, stop. Let's not fight over this, said Izumi. Dad, said the rest of the class. You two are All Mights and Green Magnet's kids, said Kaminari. She's their kid, but not mean, said Izuku pointing to Izumi with his thumb. We are your parents, boy, and you will do as we say, said All Might. Oh I don't think so, said a voice. They all turned to see Nizu and Aizawa standing there in the doorway. Izuku Yagi earned his place here like everyone else. He will be participating in this training whether you two like it or not. If you two won't let him participate then you're both fired, said Nizu. All Might and Inko grumbled. Fine, they both said. Good. Now I believe Izuku Yagi was supposed to be paired up with Ms. Uraraka. Now why don't you pick the villain team, All Might? And don't go picking favorites now, got that? Said Nizu. All Might reached into the box. The villain team is Katsuki Bakugo and Tenya Iida, said All Might. After that Izuku and 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 stood outside the building. Kaken's gonna come for us first. That's what he does, said Izuku. Oh you mean like yesterday when he, his sister, your sister, and the Todoroki twins were gonna attack us, said 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏. Yeah pretty much, said Izuku. Alright, begin, shouted All Might from the speaker. Izuku and 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏 entered the building. Careful. There are a lot of blind spots, said Izuku. Izuku looked around the corner, but as soon as he did, Katsuki came around and fired an explosion at them, but Izuku tackled 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗏, moving her out of the way. The two blushed when they realized what position they were in. But they quickly got back up. "It's morphin time," shouted Izuku as he whipped out his morpher. "Dragon 𝗧𝗍𝗍," shouted Izuku as he morphed into the Green Ranger. 𝗧𝗏𝗏 play the song at the top of the page. Izuku charged at Katsuki. He punched him in the face, then kicked him in the stomach, launching him into a wall. "I'll kill you, Deku," screamed 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁. "I'm not Deku anymore. I'm the Green Ranger. And I'm here to take you down," shouted Izuku. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 charged at Izuku, but Izuku just grabbed him by the face and slammed him into the ground. "𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗃, get to the bomb. I'll hold him off," shouted Izuku. "On it," said 𝗳𝗃𝗃 as she headed upstairs. Katsuki then got back up and tried punching Izuku, but Izuku kicked his butt with his karate skills. Katsuki then aimed his gauntlet at Izuku. "All loaded up," said Katsuki with a psychotic smirk on his face. "What do you mean?" asked Izuku. "Well, since you're such a stalker fanboy, you should know that my quirk allows me to secrete nitroglycerin-like sweat from my palms and create explosions," said Katsuki. "I know. That's Katsumi's quirk too," said Izuku. "Well, these gauntlets aren't just for show. Once they have enough sweat stored up in them, they can create one massive explosion," said 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 as he got ready to pull the pin out. Meanwhile, in the control room, "A blast that big could kill Izuku," said Izumi. Everyone started panicking, minus for All Might, Inko, Katsumi, and the Todoroki twins. Izumi ran over to the controls. "Katsuki, stop. You'll kill him," she shouted into the speaker, but then All Might pulled her away. "What are you doing?" he whispered. "He's gonna kill Izuku," whispered Izumi. "So what? He'll be doing the world a favor," whispered All Might. Back with Izuku and Katsuki, Katsuki pulled the pin out of the gauntlet, and the explosion was fired at Izuku. But right before the explosion hit him, he pulled out his dagger and started playing a tune. When the explosion hit Izuku, the tune was still playing. 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 was confused by this, but when the smoke cleared, he saw Izuku still standing there, completely unscathed. He was still playing the tune, and his 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 piece seemed to be glowing. "What the?" screamed Katsuki. Back in the control room, "How the hell did he even?" said Katsumi. "Damn it. That quirkless 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏 lives," said All Might and Inko in their heads, while Izumi was relieved. Back with Izuku and Katsuki, 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏, screamed Katsuki as he started firing multiple explosions at Izuku, but his 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 piece shielded him from them. He approached Katsuki while playing the tune as Katsuki continued firing explosions at him and started backing away. Soon Katsuki was backed against a wall. "Eat this," he screamed as he tried to punch Izuku with OFA, but Izuku stopped his fist and started twisting it. "Just like yesterday," screamed Katsuki. Izuku then headbutted Katsuki, knocking him out unconscious. After that, he headed upstairs to see 𝗳𝗃𝗃𝗏 fighting Ida. "You will never stop me, heroes." 𝗵𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏 laughed Ida maniacally. "He's really doing this?" asked Izuku. "He's really doing this," said 𝗳𝗃𝗃𝗏. Ida was about to kick Izuku, but Izuku grabbed his leg and threw him into a pillar, knocking him out unconscious as well. "Aw man, I wanted to take him down," said 𝗳𝗃𝗃𝗏. "How about I let you do the honors?" said Izuku, pointing to the bomb. "Sure thing," said 𝗳𝗃𝗃𝗏 as she walked over to the bomb and touched it. The horn then went off, signaling that the fight was over. "The hero team wins," shouted All Might into the speaker. After that, Izuku unmorphed and they headed back to the control room. 𝗳𝗃𝗃𝗏 made Ida weightless and they brought him with them, but they left Katsuki in there for All Might to go get. Katsuki came in the room with a broken nose. "You okay, bro?" asked Katsumi. "Doimda." Katsuki tried to say. "Alright students, who here did the best during training?" asked Inko, pointing to Izuku, 𝗳𝗃𝗃𝗏, Katsuki, and Ida, who had woken up by then. Momo raised her hand. "Yes." "Yuch," said Inko. "I believe that would be Izuku Yagi. He made sure the damage wasn't too extensive, and his quick thinking helped him and 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗏 win the match," said Momo. "That is, unfortunately, correct," said Inko. After that, everyone else did their training. Izumi, Katsumi, and the Todoroki twins won their matches easily, while Katsuki was still that he didn't win against Izuku. After that the school day was over and they all went home. Izuku approached Tommy's house in Reefside early one morning. He knocked on the door and was greeted by Tommy. "Hey Izuku, what brings you here so early?" asked Tommy. "Well, from my point of view it's still nighttime in Japan. But I just wanted to thank you for everything you and the other Rangers have done for me. Yesterday I finally got to kick 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗃 but in training," said Izuku. "Well, that's great. Why don't you come on in?" asked Tommy. "Sure. But I can't stay long, I've got class tomorrow in Japan," said Izuku as he entered the house. They sat at the kitchen table. "You boys want any pancakes?" asked Kimberly. "Sure," said Izuku. "That'd be great, Hans," said Tommy. Kimberly placed 2 plates on the table and put some pancakes on them. Suddenly, a kid around the same age as Izuku entered the kitchen. He looked a bit like Tommy but also had a few of Kimberly's features. He had dark brown hair and brown eyes. "Morning," said the kid. "Morning, James. What do you want on your pancakes?" asked Kimberly. "I'll just have some syrup," said James. James was about to sit at the table when he noticed Izuku sitting there. "Who's this?" asked James, pointing to Izuku. "This is Izuku Yagi. He's the new Green Ranger we've been telling you about," said Tommy. "Oh sick. I'm James. I'm the guy who's gonna be the new White Ranger," said James. "I know. Your parents have told me a lot about you, James," said Izuku as he got up and shook James's hand. "All right boys, let's sit down and have breakfast. You've both got to get to school soon," said Kimberly. After that Izuku, James, Tommy, and Kimberly all sat at the table and ate breakfast. Izuku felt at home. Eating breakfast with the Olivers reminded him of what his life was like with his parents and sister before he was diagnosed quirkless. When his parents found out he was quirkless, they stopped making food for him, so he had to learn how to cook food for himself. But the pancakes Kimberly made tasted amazing. They seemed to taste as good as the pancakes his mom used to make for him. He and James discussed certain heroes and rangers, and debated who would win in a fight with who. He and Izumi used to talk about stuff like that. They also talked about who they would win against once they got their quirks, but when Izuku was declared quirkless she would always say that he would lose against anyone, including her. Tommy told Izuku stories about the adventures he, Kimberly, and the other Rangers went on together, much like when his dad would tell him and Izumi stories about the adventures he and their mom went on together. Izuku was happy. After they were done eating, Kimberly put the plates and silverware in the dishwasher. "Before you go home, Izuku, I want to show you something real quick," said Tommy. Tommy brought Izuku over to a table that had a little model of a T-Rex on it. He pulled on the lower jaw of the model, and suddenly a trap door opened up from the floor to reveal a hidden stairwell. "Whoa," said Izuku. "Whoa indeed," said Tommy. They went down the stairs and entered a large room. It had computer monitors on the walls, vehicles, and other things. "This is our base of operations. Well, besides the command center, of course. I thought I'd show it to you since you're officially a ranger now," said Tommy. "Sick," said Izuku. Izuku walked over to a bunch of pictures on the wall. Some of them were of Tommy and his family, while some were of him and the ranger teams he's been a part of. He looked at the first one. It was of Tommy and the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. "I take it the one in yellow is Trini?" asked Izuku. "Yeah. She was one of the best rangers I've ever fought beside," said Tommy. Izuku looked at the next picture. It was of Tommy, Jason, Adam, and the other Zeo Rangers. "Jason was the Gold Zeo Ranger?" asked Izuku. "Yeah. When we needed extra help fighting the Machine Empire, Jason came back to take on the powers of the Gold Ranger," said Tommy. "Who are the other 3 in this picture?" asked Izuku. "The Blue Zeo Ranger is Rocky DeSantos. He was also the second Mighty Morphin Red Ranger. The Yellow Zeo Ranger is Tanya Sloan. She was also the first Yellow Turbo Ranger. And the Pink Zeo Ranger is Catherine Hillard, but we called her Cat. She was also the second Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger and the first Pink Turbo Ranger," said Tommy. "Hey, you never explained to me why Jason, Zach, and Trini left," said Izuku. "Well, you see, they won this contest to go to a world peace conference to help make the world a better place. So Zordon called in Rocky, Adam, and another girl named Aisha Campbell to take their places. They already knew we were Power Rangers because Lord Zed had kidnapped them once and we had to go save them, and they saw us without our helmets on, but they agreed to keep it a secret. They already had tons of training and they had good hearts. So 𝗳𝗏 knew that they were perfect to take Jason, Zack, and Trini's places, Tommy explained. Why did Kimberly leave? Asked Izuku. She got the chance to become a world-class gymnast. We knew she deserved to go follow her dreams. Kat was a girl who was put under mind control by Rita and sent to spy on us. She was even given the ability to turn into an actual cat. Eventually we freed her from Rita's spell, and then she was able to retrieve Kimberly's power coin when it was lost. So Kimberly knew Kat was perfect to take her place. Kimberly thought a long-distance relationship wouldn't be the best idea, so she sent me a Dear John letter, said Tommy. I'm so sorry, Tommy, said Izuku. It's fine. You know we got back together eventually. Otherwise James wouldn't be here. But yeah, we were apart for a while. Me and Kat actually dated during that time, said Tommy. How did you guys become the 𝗬𝗍 Rangers though? Asked Izuku. When Rita Repulsa's father, Lord 𝗲𝗏, came to help her and Lord Zed, he had his son Rito Repulsa go to Angel Grove, along with Golder, and they used a device to turn back time and turn us all into kids. Me, 𝗳𝗏, Alpha, and the other Rangers were the only ones whose memories weren't altered by the device. Since we were stuck as kids we couldn't morph. So we called upon the help of the alien Rangers from the planet 𝗂𝗏𝗃. They defended Angel Grove while we tried to find a way to fix time and turn back into teenagers. Billy was able to turn himself back into a teen, but he still couldn't morph because Rito managed to destroy the power coins. Then the rest of us traveled back in time to certain moments throughout history to retrieve parts of the 𝗬𝗍 crystal. Aisha went back in time to Africa where she met Tanya, and she decided to stay there to help sick animals and have Tanya take her place. When we each got back to our time we managed to reset time to the way it was before and turn ourselves back into teenagers. After that we said goodbye to the 𝗂𝗏𝗃 Rangers. But then Rito and Golder snuck into the command center and placed a bomb inside it, blowing it to bits. We managed to teleport outside just in time though. When we were rummaging through the wreckage we found the 𝗬𝗍 crystal, which was completely undamaged. But then when we fell down to the lower levels of the command center, we found out that 𝗳𝗏 and Alpha were still alive. 𝗳𝗏 and Alpha were then able to put the command center back together again, better than before. During that time the Machine Empire came and overthrew Rita and Zed, forcing them and their goons to leave their moon base and go live with Lord 𝗲𝗏. After that we became the Power Rangers 𝗬𝗍. There were only 5 𝗬𝗍 crystals, so Billy decided to retire from being a ranger and stay back at the command center and help 𝗳𝗏 and Alpha with other things, but he left later on as well when it turns out that he was suffering from accelerated aging due to him making himself older when we were all kids. So he went to 𝗂𝗏𝗃 to undergo a treatment that would cure him and we didn't see him again for a while. And then like I said Jason came back and became the Gold 𝗬𝗍 Ranger, but later on we found out the Gold 𝗬𝗍 powers weren't meant for humans to use, so he lost those abilities eventually. He has them again now though. 𝗳𝗏, Alpha, and Billy managed to find a way to make the Gold Ranger powers compatible with humans. So now Jason has the Gold 𝗬𝗍 Ranger stored in his 𝗵𝗃𝗲 morpher as well, said Tommy. Oh yeah, I thought Jason's morpher looked similar to yours, Tommy, said Izuku. Yeah. Anyways, not long after Jason lost his powers we defeated the Machine Empire's leader, King Mondo. And the Machine Empire was, mostly, destroyed. A few of their generals survived, but me, Jason, and a bunch of other Red Rangers destroyed them a few years later, Tommy explained. Izuku then saw another picture. It was of Tommy, Adam, Tanya, Catherine, and a young boy, all as the Turbo Rangers. /and sorry it's blurry. I couldn't find a better picture. What's the story with the Turbo Rangers though? Asked Izuku. We had just graduated high school, and before going off to college we had one more mission. An evil space pirate named 𝗍𝗏𝗃, who I already mentioned to you before, wanted to summon this evil demon named Dark Spectre so she could marry and take over the universe with, but Dark Spectre ended up rejecting her. 𝗳𝗏 gave us the powers of the Turbo Rangers and some sick new Carzords and we were ready to take on 𝗍𝗏𝗃. Rocky had been injured, so 𝗳𝗏 brought in a kid named Justin Stewart to take his place and become the Blue Turbo Ranger. He was the youngest ranger we've ever had. He was only 12 when he joined, explained Tommy. You seriously brought in a kid to be a Power Ranger? That's illegal, said Izuku. Look, we weren't comfortable with it at first, but 𝗬𝗏 thought he'd be a good fit. He was highly intelligent for his age, he was already in high school because of his intelligence, plus he had already found out we were the Power Rangers. He's helped take down tons of enemies with his quick thinking. And now he fights villains as the pro hero, the Blue Turbo Ranger, said Tommy. Oh yeah, I've heard about him, said Izuku. Eventually me, Adam, Catherine, and Tanya left for college and we passed on our Turbo Morphers to 4 new people. I passed on the mantle of Red Turbo Ranger to a guy named TJ Johnson, Catherine passed on the mantle of Pink Turbo Ranger to a girl named Cassie-chan, Adam passed on the mantle of Green Turbo Ranger to a guy named Carlos Veilroot, and Tanya passed on the mantle of Yellow Turbo Ranger to a girl named Ashley Hammond. They, along with Justin, protected Angel Grove from 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏, until eventually 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 and her goons blew up the command center, and Dark Spectre kidnapped 𝗬𝗏. After that they, along with Alpha, went to space to go rescue him. Justin stayed behind though. When they went into space they met a man named Andrus, the Red Space Ranger. He was human but he wasn't born on Earth. Apparently humans weren't just native to this planet, other planets have them too. After that they joined Andrus and became the Space Power Rangers. TJ became the Blue Space Ranger, Cassie became the Pink Space Ranger, Ashley became the Yellow Space Ranger, and Carlos became the Black Space Ranger. Later on 𝗂𝗏𝗂, the Silver Space Ranger and Andrus's best friend, was awoken from a coma after being frozen for 2 years and joined the fight. Together they fought an evil woman named 𝗧𝗏𝗵𝗲, who they later discovered was Andrus's long-lost sister. Eventually they found 𝗬𝗏, but Andrus ended up having to kill him to save the universe. Andrus shattered the tube 𝗬𝗏 was in with his sword, and there was this blast across the universe that restored many villains to their true forms. For example, Rita and Lord Zedd were turned back into normal, non-evil humans, explained Tommy. 𝗬𝗏 couldn't have died. I've seen him a million times, said Izuku. You're right. Years later we discovered that 𝗬𝗏 wasn't actually gone, and neither were the power coins, and neither was the command center. Turns out 𝗬𝗏 was actually caught in another time warp, and he wasn't able to get himself back to our universe for many years. He was able to put the command center back together. As for the power coins, Alpha had been able to put Jason's back together, but he couldn't with the rest of ours. Luckily 𝗬𝗏 was able to with the help of Ninja, since he was the one who created the power coins. We found out he was still alive when he teleported us back to the command center. It was right after me and Kimberly had gotten married, believe it or not. He gave us back our power coins and morphers, and we decided to become the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once again, said Tommy. That's awesome, said Izuku. Izuku then saw another picture. This one was of an older Tommy with the Dino Thunder Rangers. Hey, I know those people. The one in red is Connor McKnight. He's a world-famous soccer player. He has soccer camps all over the world. The girl in yellow is Kira Ford, world-famous singer and guitar player. The guy in blue is Ethan James. He's the CEO of that huge computer company Tri-Industries. And the guy in white is Trent Fernandez-Mercer. He's a famous comic book writer and illustrator. I've read his Power Ranger comics. They're awesome, said Izuku. Yeah. They were my students when I was a teacher at Reefside High. This was before we found out 𝗬𝗏 was still alive. As you know, I was a paleontologist for a long time. But I was working with someone named Anton Mercer. He was Trent's adoptive father. We were on the verge of something big, but then Anton ended up accidentally turning into this evil creature named 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃, who was bent on restoring the Earth back to the prehistoric era. I was a teacher at Reefside High and Connor, Kira, and Ethan were my students. They had all done something to get detention, and the principal, who we later on learned was one of 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃's minions, assigned me to watch them. I brought them to a dinosaur museum which is actually located not far from here. I told them that if they went out into the woods to find a prehistoric artifact, I'd let them skip detention, so they went out into the woods. I was about to enter the museum, but it turned out the place had been bought by Anton Mercer. After that I was chased by a giant robot T-Rex. Meanwhile, Connor, Ethan, and Kira had found the original version of this base, as well as the Dino Gems. When they picked them up, the Dino Gems knew they were worthy and gave them powers. Connor's was super speed, Ethan's was armored skin, and Kira's was sonic screaming, explained Tommy. I thought those were their quirks, said Izuku. That's what they told the public when they became famous. Anyways, not long after that 𝗵𝗃𝗃 started attacking the town. So I gave them the 𝗵𝗃 and they became the 𝗵𝗃 Rangers. Not long after that I was able to access the black 𝗵𝗃, and I used it, along with the black 𝗵𝗃, to become the black 𝗵𝗃 Ranger. Then later on Trent found his dad's evil lair and found the white 𝗵𝗃, which took control of him and made him evil, just like I was when Rita took control of me all those years ago. Eventually Trent was freed from the white 𝗵𝗃 spell and he joined the team after as a loyal ranger. Eventually we defeated 𝗵𝗃𝗃 and the kids graduated high school and went their own separate ways. But as you know they eventually came back together to protect Reefside as the 𝗵𝗃 Rangers, explained Tommy. That's awesome. Anyways I gotta get home, said Izuku. Yeah, you should probably get going. I'll see you later, bye Izuku, said Tommy. Bye I mean Tommy, said Izuku before teleporting to Japan. Index pointing up, found this picture above. Thought it looked cool. Izuku teleported near UA and entered the school, then he got to his classroom and sat at his desk. Aizawa then entered the room. Alright class, you're gonna be going to some disaster training facility. But first you need to pick a class president. How you decided up to you. Just don't wake me up, said Aizawa before going to sleep. Hey, pick me. Choose me. I'll be a great class president. You extras better pick me if you know what's good for you. Screamed Katsuki and Katsumi. Calm down. We should put it to a vote, said Ida. After that the class all voted. Izuku was class president, while Momo was vice president. Who the F voted for Deku? Screamed Katsuki and Katsumi. It's fine actually. Ida can be class president. I don't really want to be, said Izuku. After that they all went to lunch. Izuku sat with Ochako and Ida. Thanks again for letting me be class president, Izuku, said Ida. It's fine. You're more fit for it anyway, said Izuku. I can't wait to go to this training facility. This'll be perfect training for me, said Ochako. Yes. Your quirk is perfect for this type of training, Uraraka, said Ida. Suddenly, the alarms went off. All the students ran out of the cafeteria and into the hallway. Izuku, Ochako, and Ida were being crushed by all the students trying to get out of the building. Izuku looked out the window to see that it was the media. Guys, it's just the media, said Izuku. Everyone, it's the media, shouted Ida, but no one could hear him. Uraraka, float me up, said Ida. Ochako used her quirk to float Ida into the air. Everyone calm down. It's only the media, shouted Ida. Everyone looked outside to see that it was the media. They then calmed down and went back to their classes. After that class 1A got on a bus and headed to the USJ. So Izuku, what exactly is your quirk? Asked Sue. My quirk allows me to HR and assess the power of this thing called the morphing grid. My morpher channels the power of the grid through it and allows me to turn into a Power Ranger. The other Rangers out there also have quirks similar to mine, which is why they recruited me. Izuku lied. What about your Dragon Zord? What's the deal with that? Asked Sue. My quirk also allows me to summon it with my dagger, since it also uses the power of the morphing grids, explained Izuku. After that they arrived at the training facility. When they entered they were greeted by the rescue hero 13. Oh my god, it's 13. She's one of my favorite heroes, whispered Ochako as she started fangirling a bit. She's so cute when she's fangirling like that, said Izuku in his head. Hello, students. Welcome to the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, also known as the USJ, said 13. Just like Universal Studios Japan's, said the students. This facility is meant to train in natural disasters and rescuing people from said disasters. Fires, downpours, and mountains. This was my life's work as a teacher as the ultimate rescue training environments, said 13. Aizawa walked over to 13. Where's All Might and Green Magnet? Aren't they supposed to be here? Said Aizawa. Held up 3 fingers. There's a situation across town and they had to go. I don't know how long they're gonna be there, said 13. Then turned to the students. Now then, let's dash, but then suddenly the lights started flickering on and off. What the, said 13. Suddenly, a cloud of black mist appeared at the bottom of the stairs and multiple villains came out of it. Usik, you got fake villains too, said 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗵𝗲. Those aren't fake villains. 13 protect the kids, said Izuku as he put his goggles on and rushed down to fight the villains. Allows us to introduce ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We are the League of Villains. We were hoping for All Might to be here. I guess we'll just have to kill a few of you brats until he gets here, said a guy with hands all over his body. Suddenly, multiple warp gates opened up around the students. A pair of hands reached through one warp gate and grabbed 𝗧𝗃𝗃 and started pulling her through. "No," shouted Izuku as he grabbed 𝗧𝗃𝗃's hand and tried to pull her back, but he just ended up getting pulled in with her. They ended up in the landslide section. "Are you okay?" asked Izuku. "I'm fine," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. "Not for long you won't be," said a voice. They turned to see a bunch of villains standing there. "It's morphin time," shouted Izuku as he removed his morpher from his belt. "Dragon 𝗧𝗍𝗍," shouted Izuku as he morphed into the Green Ranger. "What the? A Power Ranger," said one of the villains. Izuku and 𝗧𝗃𝗃 charged at the villains. Izuku took down half the villains with his dragon dagger, while 𝗧𝗃𝗃 took down the other half by floating them all in the air, then dropping them on the ground, strong. "What do we do about these other villains, Izuku?" asked 𝗧𝗃𝗃. "I have an idea," said Izuku as he activated his wrist communicator. "Izuku to command center. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, said Izuku. "I hear you, Izuku. We're seeing what's going on through the viewing globe. Don't worry, help is on the way," said 𝗬𝗟𝗓 through the communicator. "Alright, thanks. We'll be waiting," said Izuku before hanging up. "Who was that?" asked 𝗧𝗃𝗃. "A friend," said Izuku. After that they made their way to the center of the USJ, where they saw Izuku getting his butt kicked by some giant, hellish abomination of some sort. "Finish him, Nomu," said the guy with hands all over his body. Izuku karate kicked the Nomu in the face, and 𝗧𝗃𝗃 made Izuku weightless and carried him away from the Nomu. "Thanks," said Izuku weakly. "Don't mention it, Surt," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. The Nomu was about to swing his fist down on Izuku, but Izuku dodged it and delivered an uppercut to the Nomu's beak. "Shigaraki, that 𝗳𝗂𝗃 kid escaped. He's gonna be back with reinforcements soon," said a man made of the purple mist wearing a suit. "Oh, I already called backup before. They'll be here momentarily," said Izuku. "Damn it. Guess I'm gonna have to kill you first," said Shigaraki as he lunged at Izuku, but Izuku just punched him in the face, knocking the hand he was wearing on his face off. When Izuku saw his face, he noticed that Shigaraki looked familiar. "That's odd. He looks kinda like my Uncle Kotaro from that picture Mom showed me years ago," said Izuku in his head. "Father!" screamed Shigaraki as he frantically grabbed the hand and put it back on his face. "Father?" asked Izuku. "Shut up!" screamed Shigaraki. Suddenly, there were flashes of multiple colors, and Tommy, Kimberly, Jason, Zack, Billy, the Zeo Rangers, and the Dino Thunder Rangers all appeared fully morphed and ready for action. "It's all right now, everyone. But because the Power Rangers are here," shouted Tommy. "What the hell? More Rangers?" screamed Shigaraki. "That's right. And you better leave these kids alone, or else you'll regret it," said Tommy as he pulled out 𝗧𝗵𝗲. The villains charged at Tommy and the Rangers, who charged right back at them. Izuku and 𝗧𝗃𝗃 went back to Izuku. "Sensei, are you all right?" asked Izuku. "I'm fine," said Izuku weakly. "I'm gonna go help the other Rangers," said Izuku. "Izuku, no. They can handle themselves," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. "I'm a Ranger and it's my responsibility to help them. Take care of Izuku, I'll be back," said Izuku before heading off to go aid the Rangers. Meanwhile, with 𝗵𝗃𝗃 and Katsuki had both just made it out of the ruin zone. "I'm gonna kill these," screamed Katsuki as he lunged at the Nomu, only to get thrown into a wall and get knocked unconscious. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 then saw Jason fighting one group of villains, but it was becoming too much for him to handle. "Power Sword!" he shouted as he summoned the Power Sword. Jason was able to take down a few more villains with his sword, but there were still too many of them. One villain punched him in the stomach, knocking him to the ground. "I'm getting too old for this 𝗧𝗍𝗃," groaned Jason. The villains were about to finish him off, when suddenly 𝗵𝗃𝗃 came in and took them all down with his hardened fists. "You okay, Mr. Red Ranger, sir?" asked 𝗵𝗃𝗃 as he extended his hand to help Jason up. "Yeah, thanks, kid. What's your name?" asked Jason as 𝗵𝗃𝗃 helped him up. 𝗳𝗃𝗧𝗵𝗲 said Kirishima. Well, thanks for that, 𝗳𝗃𝗧𝗏. I'm Jason, and you just saved my life. I owe you 1 inch, said Jason. Meanwhile, with 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 was beginning to think she should go in and help. There were tons of villains and only so many rangers. I have to help them too, said 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧. Uraraka, don't, groaned Izawa. I'm sorry, sir. But I can't let them fight these guys on their own. You should be safe here, said 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧 before heading off to go help the rangers. She saw Kimberly fighting a group of villains, but she was seriously outnumbered. Power bow, she shouted as she summoned the power bow and shot multiple villains with it. One villain snuck up behind her and knocked her to the ground. 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗪𝗧 said Kimberly as the villain was about to finish her off, but then 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧 kicked the villain in the face, knocking him out. You okay? Asked 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧 as she helped Kimberly up. I'm fine. Thanks, kid. What's your name? Asked Kimberly. 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧 Uraraka, ma'am, said 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧. Oh yeah, we met a few days ago. Izuku's told me and the other rangers a lot about you, said Kimberly. He has? Asked 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧 blushing. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for your help, 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗧. I'm pretty sure you just saved me life, said Kimberly. Back with Izuku and Tommy, there's too many of them. What do we do? Asked Izuku. Time to shift into a new gear, said Tommy as he pulled out his 𝗵𝗃. Shift into turbo, shouted Tommy as he morphed into the red Turbo Ranger. Tommy pulled out his laser pistol and shot multiple enemies. The Nomu charged at him, but then he pulled out his 𝗵𝗃 again. Dino Thunder. Power up. Ha! Shouted Tommy as he morphed into the black Dino Thunder Ranger. Braccio Staff, shouted Tommy as he pulled out the Braccio Staff and jammed the tip of it into the ground, blasting the Nomu back. Suddenly, the doors to the USJ blasted open. It's fine now. Why? Boomed a voice. Oh great, said Izuku under his breath. Because I am here. Shouted All Might as he appeared, with Inko Ida, and all the other teachers right behind him. We already beat you to it. Shouted Izuku from the bottom of the stairs. WhatIf, said All Might. Suddenly, a large group of villains charged at Tommy, Izuku, and the others. Tommy and the other Dino Thunder Rangers stepped forward. Super Dino mode, they all shouted as spikes came out of their bodies. What the, said the villains before getting their kicked by Tommy and the other Dino Thunder Rangers. Meanwhile with Ida, my classmates are all in danger. I know I don't have my license yet, but I can't just stand here and watch them die. Oh God, what do I do? Said Ida in his head. Before he could decide, a warp gate opened up next to him and pulled him in before the teachers could stop him. The next thing Ida knew, he was in the middle of the battle with Izuku and the others, with Shigaraki standing right in front of him. Might as well kill all of you UA students right here, said Shigaraki. He was about to attack Ida, but Billy kicked him in the stomach. OF, said Shigaraki. Power Lance, shouted Billy as he summoned the Power Lance. Kid, get out of here. I'll hold him off, said Billy. Ida ran, but then he heard Billy screaming. He turned to see Shigaraki disintegrating part of Billy's helmet. I need to help him, said Ida in his head as he rushed back to help Billy. He kicked Shigaraki in the stomach. Both of you are kicking me in the stomach now, said Shigaraki. Indeed we are, said Ida. Recipro burst, shouted Ida as he launched Shigaraki back. He then helped Billy up. Are you okay, sir? Asked Ida. Yeah. Thanks, kid. What's your name? Asked Billy. Tenya Ida, sir, said Ida while bowing. Ida, I've heard of that name. You're a part of the 𝗔𝗵𝗲 bloodline, right? Said Billy. Yes, sir. I hope to make my family proud, said Ida. Well, thanks for your help, Tenya. I'm pretty sure you just saved my life. My name's Billy Cranston. We met a few days ago, said Billy. That we did, said Ida. Back with Izuku and Tommy pulled out his 𝗵𝗃𝗃 again. Though Ranger 5. Red. Shouted Tommy as he morphed into the red Zeo Ranger. He took down a few more villains with his sword, while Izuku took down some with his dragon dagger. Jason then pulled out his 𝗵𝗃𝗃. Gold Ranger power, shouted Jason as he morphed into the gold Zeo Ranger. Tommy, Jason, and the Zeo Rangers all charged at the next group of villains. Meanwhile, with 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 and 𝗬𝗏𝗏 had just emerged from the downpour storm zone when they saw the Rangers fighting more villains. Koda went to get the injured to safety. 𝗳𝗏𝗵𝗃 was about to as well, but then he saw Zack getting overwhelmed by multiple villains. "Power AX," shouted Zack as he summoned the power axe. He took most of the villains down, but one large villain grabbed him and slammed him into the ground. "I guess this is it," said Zack. The villain was about to finish him off, but then 𝗳𝗏𝗵𝗃 and Dark Shadow attacked the villain and knocked him unconscious. "Are you okay, sir?" asked 𝗳𝗏𝗵𝗃 as he helped Zack up. "Yeah, good. I'm fine, thanks. What's your name?" "Zack." "𝗵𝗃 𝗳𝗏𝗃, said 𝗳𝗏𝗃. "Zack," said Zack, shaking 𝗳𝗏𝗵𝗃's hand. "Back with Tommy, Tigerty," shouted Tommy as he morphed into the White Ranger. He then charged up 𝗬𝗲𝗍𝗍 saber. "Fire!" shouted Tommy as he was about to fire a charged blast of energy at the Nomu, but right before he could All Might punch the Nomu through the roof and into the sky. "Have no fear. I have saved the day once again. No need to thank me," said All Might. "I was about to finish him off. I had it under control," said Tommy. "No, you didn't. There's no way someone as weak and useless as you could take on that thing," said All Might. "F you, old man," said Izuku. "Watch your mouth, boy," growled All Might. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 get us out of here," said Shigaraki. 𝗧𝗃 then opened up multiple warp gates and he, Shigaraki, and some of the villains managed to escape. After that the cops came and arrested the remaining villains and All Might got all the credit for taking them down. Once they got back to the bar, Shigaraki grabbed a bunch of glasses and started throwing them into a wall. "God damn it. We would have been able to kill All Might and those brats if it weren't for those Power Rangers," screamed Shigaraki. Suddenly, a portal opened up and out came an evil-looking Power Ranger. "Perhaps I can help you with your troubles," said the Ranger. "Another Ranger. Die!" screamed Shigaraki as he lunged at the Ranger, only to get slammed into the ground by him. "I am not your enemy. But if you even try to lay a hand on me again, I will end you. Got that?" said the Ranger. "Fine," said Shigaraki as the Ranger let him go and he got back up. "Who are you? Your voice sounds familiar," said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. "I'm a Ranger who comes from another universe. In my dimension these things you call quirks don't exist, and I rule the world. Me and my forces travel the multiverse, killing any Power Ranger teams we can find. And now we've set our sights on this world," said the Ranger. "So now you're gonna invade it?" said Shigaraki. "Oh. The people of this earth are too powerful. 80% of your population have these quirk things. It will take some time to prepare my forces and learn how to destroy your Power Rangers. That's why I'm here to make a deal. You help me destroy the Rangers and I'll help you take over this world," said the Ranger. "How do we know we can trust you?" asked Shigaraki. "I was about to ask you the same thing," said the Ranger. "Fair enough. I'll need to discuss this with my 𝗵𝗃, said Shigaraki. "Very well. I'll be back later," said the Ranger as he opened up another portal. "But wait, we don't even know your name," said Shigaraki. "Call me Lord Draken," said the Ranger. A few days later Izuku was at the Angel Grove Youth Center practicing his karate moves when Tommy walked over to him. "Hey," said Izuku while punching a punching bag. "Hey," said Tommy. "Sorry again that my dad took all the credit for what happened at the USJ," said Izuku. "It's fine. We're not used to getting that much publicity anyway. But listen, there's a project I've been working on for a while now back at the Dino Thunder HQ, stop by there later. It's something for you," said Tommy. "I will," said Izuku, but then his watch started beeping. "Yeah, Zordon," said Izuku into his watch. "Izuku, I've just received a message from Principal Nizu. He and Mr. Aizawa are at your house. They say they need to talk to you about something," said Zordon. "All right, I'm on my way," said Izuku before hanging up. "Sorry, Tommy. I gotta go," said Izuku. "It's fine. I'll show you the project later," said Tommy. After that Izuku headed into the back alleyway and teleported back home to Japan. When he entered his house he saw his parents and sister talking with Nizu and Aizawa in the living room. "Mr. Yagi, come sit," said Nizu. Izuku sat in one of the chairs away from his family. "All right, now that you're all here, we can explain to you what's going on," said Nizu. "Nizu, what's this about?" asked Toshinori. "Well, you see, after the recent attack on the USJ we've decided to set up dorm rooms at UA. And we'd like your permission to let your children live there." We believe they would be safer living there as the League of Villains wouldn't be able to get inside of UA now that we've upped security there, explained Nizu. I'm fine with that, said Izumi. I'd gladly move out of this place, said Izuku. What do you think, Toshi? Asked Inko. I'm fine with it, said Toshinori. Then sign here, said Nizu as he placed a form on the table. Inko and Toshi signed the form and Izuku and Izumi were all set. The next day Izuku and Izumi had moved into the dorm rooms along with everyone else. Izuku was currently sitting in the common room scrolling through his phone. The others were also in the common room chatting and stuff. Hey everyone. I have an idea for something we can do, said Mina. What is it? Asked Izuku. We can have a dorm room competition, said Mina. Sounds great. Who's first? Asked Izuku. You are, said Mina. 𝗧𝗃 said Izuku under his breath. When they entered Izuku's room, they saw it was pretty empty. There was just a bed, a desk with a computer, and that was pretty much it. But there was also a shelf with a few Power Ranger action figures on it, and there was also a picture of Izuku with some people next to his computer. Ochako and Ida recognized them as the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Hey, it's Tommy, Kimberly, Billy, Zach, and Jason. I remember them. They and the other Rangers saved us at the USJ, said Ochako. Oh, I know Jason. I saved his life, said Kirishima. And me and Dark Shadow saved Zach's life, said Tokoyami. I also saved Kimberly's life, said Ochako. And I saved Billy's, said Ida. Yeah, I know. They all told me. They're super grateful by the way, said Izuku. After that they moved on to the rest of the dorm rooms. Everyone else's dorm room was the same as it was in the actual show. Shoka's was the same as Shoto's. They didn't see Katsumi's room, just like how they didn't see Katsuki's. Izumi's room had a lot of All Might and Green Magnet merch in it. Mina turned to Izuku. Yagi, your sister has tons of stuff in her room, but you have almost nothing in yours. What's the deal with that? Asked Mina. First of all, don't call me Yagi, it's just Izuku. Second, I don't want to talk about it, said Izuku. After that they all went back to the common room. And the person whose room got the most votes is Sato, said Mina. You girls just voted for him cause he let you eat his sugary foods, said Kaminari. After that they all went to bed. Meanwhile, this is the one we told you about, said Shigaraki to All for One as Lord Draken stepped forward. So you're this Lord Draken I've been hearing so much about, said Ava. Yes. I've come with a proposition for you. You help me destroy the Power Rangers of this world, and I'll help you destroy All Might and those UA brats, said Draken. Not interested. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃, said AFO to 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃 who was standing right next to him. Yes, said 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃 as he lunged at Lord Draken, only to be quickly defeated by him. Is that all you got? Asked Draken as he sheathed the dragon dagger and Saba. We may have something to discuss after all, said AFO. Izuku was on his way back to the dorms after getting a bite to eat from a nearby cafe. He was passing by an alleyway when a little girl with white hair and a horn ran into him. She had bandages all over her arms and legs and looked absolutely terrified. Kid, what's wrong? Are you okay? Asked Izuku as he crouched down in front of her. I apologize for my daughter. She keeps hurting herself, said a man wearing gloves and a bird mask as he approached them. You honestly expect me to believe that, said Izuku as he stood up. The man slowly started taking off his glove. Kid, get behind me, said Izuku and he stood in front of the girl. It's morphin time, shouted Izuku as he whipped out his morpher. Dragon 𝗧𝗍𝗍, shouted Izuku as he became the Green Ranger. What the, said 𝗲𝗏 in shock. Izuku charged at 𝗲𝗏 with the dragon dagger, but 𝗲𝗏 took off his glove and fired a spike from the ground at Izuku, but Izuku dodged it and punched 𝗲𝗏 in the face, knocking off his bird mask. No. My mask. Screamed 𝗲𝗏 as he frantically tried to put his mask back on. Why are you so concerned over a mask? COVID ended 100 years ago, said Izuku. Shut up you, said 𝗲𝗏 as he lunged at Izuku, but Izuku just beat him into the ground with his sick karate moves. It's over, you child abuser. Surrender now and I won't kill you, said Izuku. Never. I'll be back for her. Screamed 𝗲𝗏 before taking off. Power down, said Izuku as he unmorphed. Izuku then walked over to Eri and hugged her. It's okay. I won't let that man hurt you ever again, said Izuku. Hey, thank you, said the girl as she buried her face into Izuku's 𝗧𝗵𝗃. What's your name, kid? Asked Izuku. Eri, said the girl. Well, don't worry, Eri. I'm gonna take you somewhere where that man will never be able to get to you, said Izuku. After that he brought Eri back to Yue. He entered the teacher's lounge with her where the teachers were. Izuku, why do you have a kid with you? Demanded 𝗃𝗀𝗃. Did you kidnap her? Demanded All Might. That's enough, you two. But Izuku, who's the child? Asked Nizu. This is Eri. I ran into her on my way back to the dorms. There was a guy who was hurting her, and he was gonna attack me. I took him down, then he escaped. I brought her here to UA where she would be safe, said Izuku. Very well. She can live here until we can find someone who will be willing to take care of her, said Nizu. Oh. I want to stay with Izuku, said Eri, burying her face into Izuku's leg. What? Said Nizu. I guess she's only comfortable around me, since I'm the one who saved her and all, said Izuku. Very well. I'll get the adoption papers for you, Izuku. And we'll set up a second bed in your dorm room, said Nizu. I'm too young to be a grandma, said 𝗃𝗀𝗃. You're not her grandmother, said Izuku. He then turned to All Might. And you, old man, you're not her grandfather either. Both of you stay away from my daughter, said Izuku. After that, Izuku and Aizawa, who was covered in bandages from the USJ, brought Eri to the dorms. When they entered they were greeted by everyone, then they noticed the child with him. Izuku, who's the child? Asked Ida. This is Eri. I rescued her from a villain and have agreed to adopt her, said Izuku. That's correct. She's going to be living here with you all now. So that means no swearing or inappropriate talk around her, said Aizawa. Does this mean I'm an auntie now? Asked Izumi. Oh. You stay away from her. The same thing goes for you 4-inch, said Izuku to the Bakugo and Todoroki twins. Hi, Eri. I'm Ochako, said Ochako to Eri. Eri looked at her curiously for a second. Are you my mommy? Asked Eri. Izuku and Ochako both blushed. Said Ochako with a red face. All right, how about we set Eri's bed up in Izuku's room, said Aizawa. After that the class helped set up a second bed in Izuku's room. Momo made some pink bedsheets and some stuffed animals for Eri. After that Ochako and the girls went out to buy some clothes for Eri. They were currently at a clothes store when Mina turned to Ochako. So you and Izuku, huh? She said with a sly smile on her face. No, said Ochako, blushing. Really? 'Cause your face was pretty red when Eri asked if you were her mommy. Kinda like it is right now, teased Mina. Alright extras, we got some clothes for the brats, said Katsumi as she, Shoka, and Izumi tossed them some clothes. These are all Might and Green Magnet clothes. We're not buying these, said Ochako. Why not? Asked Izumi. 'Cause Izuku seems to hate them both. And I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate us buying their clothing brand for his daughter, said Ochako. After that they bought some non-All Might and Green Magnet themed clothes and headed back to the dorms. When they got back, Eri put on the clothes they got her and she loved them so much. She also explained to the pros what Overhaul and the Yakuza had been doing to her. They had been using her BLD to create quirk erasing bullets, since her quirk allowed her to rewind people back to certain ages. The pros agreed that they would raid the Yakuza base and apprehend Overhaul and the 8 precepts of death. As soon as they got a warrant to do so. After that they all went to bed. Izuku laid in his bed, while Eri laid in the bed next to his. Hey daddy, can I cuddle with you for tonight? Asked Eri. Sure, sweetie, said Izuku. Eri climbed into bed with Izuku and the two cuddled together and went to sleep. Meanwhile, god damn it. That Green Ranger has the brat. How are we gonna purge this world of quirks now? Screamed Overhaul to the other precepts of death. Perhaps I can help, said a voice. They all turned to see Lord Draken stepping out of a portal. Who are you? Another ranger. Die. Screamed Overhaul as he lunged at Draken, only to get knocked into a wall. I'm not your enemy. I come from another universe and I'm here with a proposal. You and a few others help me destroy this world's Power Rangers, and I'll help you get that kid back, said Lord Draken. Why should we trust you? Asked Overhaul. I could ask you the same thing, said Draken. Alright, fine. We'll help you. But you better help me get that brat back, said Overhaul. Of course. I'm Lord Draken, by the way. We'll be seeing each other a lot, said Draken. The next day, Izuku teleported to the command center, where Tommy and the others were there waiting for him. Okay Izuku, why did you call us here? Asked Tommy. Guys, I'm a dad, said Izuku. What? Said the Rangers. Who did you knock up, young man? Was it 𝗳𝗧𝗃𝗃? Demanded Kimberly. Izuku blushed. What? My daughter's not biological. I adopted her, said Izuku. Okay. How did you get a daughter though? Asked Tommy. And what's her name? Asked Billy. Her name is Eri. I found her in an alleyway. She was being tortured by a villain for her quirk. I defeated the villain and brought her back to UA. And pretty soon I'm gonna be officially adopting her, said Izuku. Well, good for you, Izuku. Does she have a mom yet? Asked Jason. No. I'm gonna be raising her on my own, said Izuku. That's a hell of a big responsibility to handle on your own, Izuku, said Zack. I can handle it. I've fought a group of villains with you guys just a few days ago, and fought one on my own just yesterday. I'm sure I can handle a child, said Izuku. Well, let us know if you need any help with her. Being a parent is strong work, and we should know, said Tommy. Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Bye guys, said Izuku. Bye Izuku, said the Rangers, Alpha, and Zordon. After that, Izuku teleported back to UA. When he got there, he saw multiple reporters outside. He tried to get past him, but they stopped him. You're Izuku Yagi. Tell me, what's it like to be the son of the #1 hero? Asked the reporter. That man is not my father. Now get out of my way, said Izuku as he pushed through the reporters. He went inside and entered the classroom. Aizawa entered the room not long afterwards. Alright class, listen up. In a few weeks we're gonna be having the sports festival, said Aizawa. Sir, is that really a good idea since we were just attacked by villains? Asked Ida. Yes. We want to show the public we're not afraid of any villains. So for the next 2 weeks you brats are gonna be training your off, said Aizawa. After that they had lunch. Izuku, 𝗳𝗃𝗃, and Ida were all sitting at a table together. I can't wait for the sports festival. This'll finally be our chance to prove ourselves in front of the world, said 𝗳𝗃𝗃. Yes. I'll finally be able to make my family proud, said Ida. What do you mean by that? Asked Izuku. Have you ever heard of the hero 𝗵𝗃𝗵𝗃? Asked Ida. Yeah. He has tons of sidekicks, taken down tons of villains, and saved tons of lives, said Izuku. Well, he's my elder brother, said Ida. No way, said Izuku and 𝗳𝗃𝗃. Yes. I hope to make my family proud and be a hero just like my brother, said Ida. That's an awesome reason to want to be a hero, Ida. Makes me kinda guilty about my reason for wanting to be a hero, said 𝗳𝗃𝗃. Well, why do you want to be a hero, Uraraka? Asked Izuku. 𝗳𝗃𝗃 rubbed the back of her head. Well, you seeds, one explanation later, you're only in it for the money, said Izuku in shock. 𝗳𝗃𝗃 was now running the back of her head with both hands. I know it seems kinda selfish, she said. What's selfish about that? It's perfectly fine to want to be financially stable, said Ida. No, it's not that. You see, my parents run a construction company, but business isn't going so well and they're losing money. So I want to be a hero so I can earn money for them, said 𝗳𝗃𝗃. Understandable, said Izuku. At the end of the school day they were gonna leave the classroom, but a bunch of students from other classes and courses were right outside the classroom. Out of my dim way, extras! Screamed Katsuki and Katsumi. Just because you don't know their names does not mean you can just call them that, said Ida. You 1A idiots think you're better than all of us just because you were attacked by villains? Huh, said a dude with blonde hair. No, said Izuku. Us students in the other courses are declaring war on you, just so you know, said another dude with purple hair. Wait, what? Said Izuku. After school, Izuku went back to the command center. Guys, I need help. The school sports festival's in 2 weeks and I need help training, said Izuku. We are aware of the upcoming sports festival. Principal Nizu informed me. Do not worry, I've contacted a few rangers who will be willing to help you train, said Zordon. Great, said Izuku. Izuku teleported to the town of Silver Hills. Tommy had told him to meet him there at the Silver Guardians HQ for some reason. When he reached the building, he saw Tommy outside waiting for him. Alright Tommy, why did you want me to come all the way out here again? Asked Izuku. I brought you here to train with a legendary ranger team. I think you know which one it is. Two of them are the leaders of the Silver Guardians and they offered to let you train with them in one of their state-of-the-art training rooms. Come on, let's go inside, said Tommy. They went inside the large building and headed upstairs and entered a large room of some sort. It looked something like this. They entered the room and the door closed behind them. Suddenly, 6 people landed in front of them. Index pointing up, this guy except he has messy green hair like Izuku's and a gem in his forehead. The first 5 of them were wearing these morphers on their left wrists. The last man was wearing this morpher on his left wrist. There was also this robot owl with them. Hey kids, said the first man. Who are you people supposed to be? Asked Izuku. My name is Wesley Collins. But you can call me Wes, said the first man. I'm his wife, Jennifer Collins. But you can call me Jen, said the white woman. My name's Trip. I like your hair. It's a lot like mine, said the man with green hair. My name's Lucas Kendall, said the third man. My name's Katie Walker, said the black woman. My name is Eric Myers, said the last man. And my name is Circuit, said the robot owl. But why are you here? Asked Izuku. Allow us to introduce ourselves properly, said Jen. Time for Time Force, shouted Wes, Jen, Trip, Lucas, and Katie as they all pressed a button on their morphers. Quantum power, shouted Eric into his morpher. The next thing Izuku knew. They were all in Power Ranger form. This was Wes's outfit, this was Jen's, this was Trip's, this was Lucas's, this was Katie's, and this was Eric's. Power Rangers Time Force, they all said at the same time while doing cool poses. Oh my god, you guys are the Time Force Rangers. You saved Silver Hills 20 years ago from that rancid guy, said Izuku. That's right, kid. We heard your school was having a sports festival soon, and we heard you needed a little extra help training. So we volunteered to help you out, said Wes. Cool, I really appreciate this, thank you. So what is this place? Asked Izuku. This is a state-of-the-art VR simulation room. It can simulate any environment. We're gonna be using it to train you, explained Wes. Alright Izuku, have fun. I'll pick you up later, said Tommy before leaving. Alright Izuku, first up we're gonna start with something simple. But you're gonna want to morph first, said Wes. You got it, said Izuku as he pulled out his morpher. Dragon ZD, shouted Izuku. But now what? Asked Izuku. Circuit, activate dojo simulations, said Trip. You got it, Trip, said Circuit as his eyes started glowing. The next thing Izuku knew, the room changed to look like a dojo of some sort. Alright, you'll go up against me first, Izuku, said Wes stepping forward. Alright, said Izuku. 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 online, shouted Wes as he summoned 2 clear, futuristic-looking swords. Izuku pulled out the dragon dagger. Alright, let's do this, said Izuku. The two charged at each other. Wes swung his 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏s at Izuku, but Izuku blocked them with his dragon dagger. He then grabbed Wes and slammed him into the ground. I yield. Good job, Izuku, said Wes. Thanks, said Izuku as he helped Wes up. My turn, said Jen stepping forward. Vortex Blaster, shouted Jen as a massive, futuristic-looking gun appeared in her arms. She fired the Vortex Blaster at Izuku, but Izuku played a tune with the dragon dagger and enhanced the protection of his CST piece. He then charged at Jen while still playing the tune, then he knocked her into a wall. I yield. Well done, kid, said Jen. After that Izuku took on the other 4 Time Force Rangers. Trip, Katie, and Lucas were pretty much the same challenge as Wes and Jen. Katie was a little tougher to beat though, what with her quirk being super strength and all. Eric was quite the challenge though. His Quantum Defender was a powerful weapon against the Dragon Dagger, but Izuku managed to beat him eventually. Alright Izuku, time for your final challenge. This time you're gonna fight all of us at once, said Wes. Okay, said Izuku, was a bit nervous now. Circuit, activate city simulations, said Wes to the robot owl. Yes, sir, said Circuit. The simulation then changed to a city plaza. The Rangers all pulled out their weapons and Izuku pulled out his. Let's do this, said Izuku. And begin, said Wes as they charged at Izuku, who charged right back at them. Time strike, shouted Wes, Jen, and Lucas as the other 3 launched them into the air. They swung their 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏s down on Izuku, blasting him back. Izuku then retreated and hid in one of the virtual buildings. We're gonna find you, kid, shouted Eric. Let's split up and go look for him, said Jen as they all split up. Izuku snuck behind Trip and knocked him out unconscious. He then picked up Trip's vortex blaster and snuck up behind Katie and Lucas with it. They heard the blaster powering up and turned around. "What the dash," said Katie, but then Izuku blasted her and Lucas with the blaster and knocked them out. Good thing he had the blaster set to stun. He then went up to the roof of a virtual 2-story building and saw Eric down below. He jumped on top of him Assassin's Creed style and knocked him out unconscious. "There you are," said Wes as he and Jen charged up their vortex blasters. Izuku played the tune with his dagger and blocked the shots fired at him as he charged at them both. He then grabbed them both and slammed their heads into each other, knocking them out unconscious. "Izuku wins," said Circuit. After that Izuku waited for them all to wake up. "What happened?" said Lucas. "Sorry if I was a little too rough on you all," said Izuku rubbing the back of his head. "No, it's fine. We're glad you didn't hold back. You're ready for the sports festival now," said Wes. After that Tommy came to pick Izuku up and Izuku went home. Index pointing up, found thus picture. Thought it looked cool. Izuku and the others arrived at the sports festival arena. They entered the massive coliseum where there were thousands of people all around them. And here they are. Back from fighting villains, it's Class 1A. Screamed Present Mike through the speaker. Also with us, they may not have their time to shine yet, but they're still a force to be reckoned with. It's Class 1B. Screamed Mike as Class 1B also entered the arena. Also with us are Classes C, D, and E from the General Studies course, as well as Classes F, G, and H from the Support Department, and Classes I, J, and K from the Department of Management. Screamed Mike as those classes entered the arena as well. Midnight stood on a podium in the center of the arena. She whipped her WHP, making everyone go silent. "We will now have Izumi Yagi recite the first year's pledge for us," said Midnight as Izumi walked up to the podium. "I pledge to become the #1 hero," said Izumi. Everyone started booing Izumi and saying she was full of herself, while All Might was proud of her. "That's my girl," he said in his head. Izumi walked back down to the others. Midnight then managed to quiet everyone down. "Now to see what event the students will be doing," said Midnight as she spun a wheel. It landed on obstacle course. They'll be doing an obstacle course. They'll have to complete a full lap around the arena. Everything is allowed as long as they stay inside the track. "Now get into position," said Midnight. The students each got into position at the starting line. 3, 2, 1, go. Screamed Mike as the race began. "Dragon Duty!" shouted Izuku as he morphed into the Green Ranger. Shoto and Shoka had already frozen multiple students to the ground as soon as the race began. Katsuki and Katsumi launched themselves forward with explosions, and Izumi flew forwards with her telekinesis quirk. As Izuku and the other students ran, a bunch of 0-pointers from the entrance exam dropped in front of them, but Izuku pulled out the dragon dagger and summoned the Dragon Zord, which quickly destroyed them all, then teleported away. "How the hell can he do that?" screamed Izumi. The audience was in shock that Izuku did that. Please be advised, ladies and gentlemen, that Izuku Yagi has full permission to summon his own giant robot since it's part of his quirk, said Aizawa through the speaker. Izuku and the others then reached the cliff section, but Izuku quickly jumped across the chasms with his powers. Finally, Izuku made it to the mine field. He blew into the dragon dagger again, this time to increase his protection. He then ran through the mines, which exploded, but his CHST piece protected him. He then made it back to the arena and came in first place, with Izumi coming in second, Shoto in third, Shoka in fourth, Katsumi in fifth, Katsuki in sixth, and so on and so forth. And that concludes the race. Now on to the next event, said Midnight as she spun the wheel again. The cavalry race. You have 15 minutes to choose your teammates, and then 15 minutes to fight. The person who ranked last is worth 5 points, and each person ranked above that would be worth 5 more than the previous one, with the exception of first place, said Midnight. How many points do I have? Asked Izuku. You have 10 million points, Yagi said Midnight. 𝗧𝗧𝗟𝗃 said Izuku under his breath. The cavalry battle was intense. Izuku's team consisted of him, Ochako, Tokoyami, and a girl from Izuku, she said. Oh my god, Uraraka. You're okay. said Izuku as he stood next to Ochako bedside. I wasn't strong enough, said Ochako as she started crying. You were strong though, and you will get stronger. I promise you that, said Izuku. Ochako then buried her face into Izuku's 𝗧𝗕. Thank you, she said. You're welcome, Ochako, said Izuku. Ochako looked up at him. Why did you call me by my first name? She asked. Because I love you, said Izuku while blushing slightly. Ochako blushed extremely. You love me, she asked. Yes. Ever since I met you, said Izuku. I love you too, said Ochako. The two then broke from the embrace. Will you be my girlfriend, Ochako? Asked Izuku. Oh, Izuku, yes. Yes, I will, said Ochako. Hey, this is a nurse's office, not a make-out room. Take your shenanigans elsewhere, said Recovery Girl. I'll see you later, Ochako. I gotta get to my fight with 𝗧𝗓𝗧 soon, said Izuku. Alright. I'll see you later, Izuku, said Ochako. As soon as Izuku left the room, he bumped into Tommy and Kimberly. Whoa, what are you guys doing here? Asked Izuku. We were watching the sports festival and we decided to come and cheer you on in person. Don't worry, 𝗧𝗓𝗧 gave us passes, said Tommy. Also, is it possible I could speak to Ochako at some point? Asked Kimberly. Why? Asked Izuku. Because I think she would be great candidate to be the new Pink Ranger, said Kimberly. What? But I mean, I'm not against it, but why exactly? Asked Izuku. She was strong in her match against Izumi, and she saved my life as the USJ. She reminds me a lot of myself when I was her age. That's why I think she'd be perfect to take my place, said Kimberly. Well, you'd have to ask her about it. She wants to become a hero so she can earn money to help her parents who are poor, said Izuku. I own multiple dojos across America. Kimberly owns tons of gymnastics centers across there, too. And the other Rangers have tons of businesses as well. We can pay her, said Tommy. Alright. But you should be aware me and her just started dating, said Izuku. What? Said Tommy and Kimberly. Yeah. We officially became a couple, like 2 minutes ago, said Izuku. Tommy and Kimberly both hugged him. We're so proud of you, they both said. Would Izuku Yagi please come to the arena for his next match? Said a person on the intercom. That's my cue. Gotta go, guys, said Izuku before leaving. He went out to the arena where 𝗧𝗕𝗧 was. For the first match of the second rounds, it's Izuku Yagi versus 𝗳𝗫𝗧𝗏. Present Mike shouted. May the best man win, Izuku, said 𝗧𝗓𝗏. Indeed, said Izuku. Begin, shouted Midnight. Dragon 𝗧𝗓𝗏, shouted Izuku. Izuku and 𝗧𝗓𝗏 both charged at each other. 𝗧𝗓𝗏 tried to kick Izuku, but Izuku ducked under it and delivered an uppercut to 𝗧𝗓𝗏's chin. 𝗧𝗓𝗏 then kneed Izuku in the stomach and punched him in the face. Good thing he was wearing his helmet though. 𝗧𝗓𝗏 charged up the engine in his left leg and was about to kick Izuku, but Izuku played his tune with the dragon dagger and increased the protection of his 𝗧𝗏𝗧 piece at the last second, so when 𝗧𝗓𝗏 kicked his 𝗧𝗏𝗧 and blasted him back a few feet. When 𝗧𝗓𝗏 got up he charged up both engines in his legs. This is it. It's all or nothing, 𝗧𝗓𝗏 said in his head. He charged at Izuku with everything he had, and then Izuku stepped out of the way at the last second, causing 𝗧𝗓𝗏 to run out of bounds. 𝗳𝗫𝗍𝗏 is out of bounds. Izuku Yagi wins, shouted Midnight. What? Said 𝗧𝗏𝗏. Sorry 𝗧𝗏𝗏. I'm just quicker than you, said Izuku. After that the rest of the matches happened. After Izuku and 𝗧𝗏𝗏 it was Shoto against Shoka. They were evenly matched, since they both had the same quirks. In the end, Shoto ended up winning by blasting ice around Shoka, forcing her to the edge of the fighting ring, and then he unleashed a blast of fire and knocked her out of bounds. Then it was Katsuki's match with Katsumi. Their fight was mainly just them screaming obscenities at each other. In the end, Katsumi ended up winning just barely, by knocking her brother unconscious with a punch to the face using a bit of one for all. Finally, it was Izumi's match with Kirishima. Izumi ended up winning by lifting Kirishima in the air with her powers, then punching him out of bounds with one for all. After that they all took a break and prepared for the third rounds. Izuku was on his way to the arena for his fight against Shoto. Hey, Izuku, said a voice. He turned around to see two familiar people standing there, Endeavor and his son, 𝗬𝗲𝗏 Todoroki, also known as Blue Inferno. This is what 𝗬𝗏 looks like in this, except he has white hair. Uncle NG. It's been a while. said Izuku. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 in this universe Endeavor is and always has been a loving husband and father. Shoto and Shoka are just bad kids, yeah. We know you're gonna be up against Shoto in the next match, so we just wanted to wish you good luck. Especially since Shoto said he's not gonna go easy on you, said Tuya. Of course he isn't, said Izuku in his head. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Anyways, I gotta go fight him now. Fight, said Izuku before heading off to the arena. When Izuku entered the arena, he saw Shoto at the other end glaring at him. For our next match, we have Izuku Yagi versus Shoto Todoroki. The son of the number 1 hero versus the son of the number 2 hero. Shouted Mike through the speaker. I'm going to end you, said Shoto. In front of all these people. I doubt it. You're just trying to scare me off, Shoto. Well, guess what? Those tricks don't work on me anymore. I'm done being afraid of you and the others, said Izuku. Shoto just growled. And begin, shouted Midnight. Shoto immediately jumped at Izuku using full cowl as white and red lighting appeared around his body. He then fired ice from his right side while in midair, but Izuku rolled out of the way at the last second. It's morphin time, said Izuku as he pulled out his morpher. Dragon Z, shouted Izuku as he turned into the Green Ranger. Let's do this, said Izuku as he pulled out his dagger. Shoto fired a blast of fire at Izuku, but Izuku played his tune again and shielded himself from the fire as he ran at Shoto. He then swung the dagger at Todoroki and cut a tear in his jumpsuit, making Todoroki more angry. Izuku smirked under his helmet, I'm just as strong as you, 𝗧𝗓𝗧𝗏, but then Shoto grabbed him by the throat and slammed him into the ground. He then punched Izuku in the face repeatedly, shattering part of his helmet. You're not as strong as me. I'm much stronger than you, we all are. You never should have come to UA. You should have just taken Izumi's advice and killed yourself, said Shoto as he continued punching Izuku in the face. The audience booed Shoto for being too violent. Shoto, stop. You're gonna kill him, shouted Endeavor, but Shoto didn't listen. Shoto, please stop, screamed Izumi, but Shoto still didn't listen. I've beaten you, said Shoto as he punched Izuku in the face again. I'm better than you, said Shoto as he punched Izuku again. He then leaned down. And I've already F your sister, he whispered in Izuku's ear. This Izuku off big time. Shoto was about to deliver one final blow to Izuku, but as soon as he slammed his left fist down, Izuku stopped him by grabbing his wrist and twisting it. Let go of me, screamed Shoto as he lit his left arm on fire, but the power of the morphing grid protected Izuku from his flames. Izuku slowly got up while still twisting his flaming wrist. Shut. The support department by the name of 𝗵𝗃. They ended up winning just barely, along with Izumi, the Bakugo and Todoroki twins, and a few others. And now they were on to the mini-games and soon the matches. The class had the mini-games after that. During them Kaminari had tricked the 1A girls into wearing cheerleader outfits. 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏, screamed Katsumi, while Kaminari laughed. Izuku also had to resist the urge to laugh from seeing Izumi, Shoka, and Katsumi be humiliated in front of the whole world. Although he also felt bad for Ochako and the other girls, since they never wronged him. I can't believe that pervert tricked us into wearing these ridiculous costumes, said Ochako while blushing. I know. Don't worry, if I end up having to fight him in the matches, I'll be sure to kick his butt for you, said Izuku as he tried to hide his blush. After that they looked at the board to see who would be up against who in the matches. Izuku was up against a guy named Hitoshi Shinso, Ida was up against 𝗵𝗃, Shoka was up against Mina, Shoto was up against Siro, Katsuki was up against Tokoyami, Katsumi was up against Kaminari, Kirishima was up against a guy named Tetsutetsu, and Ochako was up against Izumi. After that they all went to the waiting room. Izuku, there's something about that Shinso guy you should know, said Ojiro. What is it? Asked Izuku. As you know, I have no memory of the cavalry battle. I think it's because of Shinso. I remember him asking me if I wanted to be a part of his team. I said I don't know. The next thing I knew, the cavalry battle was already over. I think his quirk has something to do with mind control. So whatever you do, if he asks you a question, don't say anything. All right, said Ojiro. All right, I won't. Thanks for the advice, said Izuku. Izuku then headed to the arena, where Shinso was. For our first round. It's Izuku Yagi versus 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 𝗵𝗃𝗃, shouted present Mike. Izuku then pulled out his morpher. And begin, shouted Midnight. You think you got a chance against me, don't you, said 𝗫𝗏. Izuku didn't say anything. CRP. If I don't say Dragonzord then I won't be able to morph. But if I do he might be able to put me under mind control. Guess I'm just gonna have to fight without my morpher, said Izuku in his head. Izuku kept his mouth shut and dashed at 𝗫𝗏. 𝗫𝗏's eyes widened. Wait, what dash? But then Izuku shoved him out of bounds. 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗏 𝗫𝗏 is out of bounds. Izuku Yagi wins. Shouted Midnight. How did you even? Said 𝗫𝗏 in shock. Ojiro told me that your quirk probably had something to do with brainwashing. So I just kept my mouth shut, said Izuku as he helped 𝗫𝗏 up. Look, you've got potential. But you can't expect to win every single battle if you only use one trick. You need to train more if you want to be a hero, said Izuku. Thanks. I will, said 𝗫𝗏. Meanwhile with All Might, Inko, and Nizu, what's that 𝗫𝗏 kid's quirk again? Asked Inko. His quirk allows him to put anyone under mind control if he asks them a question and they answer it, said Nizu. We shouldn't allow him into the hero course, then. A person with a villainous quirk like that has no place at UA, said All Might. Why the hell have I not fired you two yet? Said Nizu in his head. Back with Izuku and the others after that the other matches happened. After Izuku and 𝗫𝗏's match it was Iida against Mei. Mei tied Iida up and gave a presentation on her gadgets that lasted for like 20 minutes, but she ended up accidentally stepping outside of bounds, causing her to lose. After that it was Shoka against Mina. As soon as the match started Shoka just froze Mina, as well as half the arena. Then it was Shoto's match with 𝗧𝗏. It turned out pretty much the exact same way as the last match. Then it was Katsuki's match with Tokoyami. Katsuki ended up winning by using the brightness of his explosions to weaken Dark Shadow. Then it was Katsumi's match with Kaminari. She beat him by knocking him out of bounds with an explosion. Then it was Kirishima's match with Tetsu. It ended up being a tie. So they did an arm wrestling contest, which Kirishima won. And finally it was Ochako's match with Izumi. This is it. Wish me luck guys, said Ochako to Izuku and Iida. Ochako entered the arena where she saw Izumi on the other end. In this match we have Ochako Uraraka versus Izumi Yagi. The two gravity quirk users. Shouted present Mike. Ochako and Izumi both got in position. And begin. Midnight shouted. Ochako and Izumi dashed at one another. Izumi tried to grab Ochako with her telekinesis quirk, but Ochako was moving too fast for Izumi to grab onto. Ochako was about to shove Izumi with her quirk, but then Izumi dodged it, grabbed Ochako's wrist, and threw her into the ground. She was about to punch Ochako in the face with a bit of one for all in the hopes of knocking her out, but Ochako rolled out of the way at the last second, causing Izumi's fist to hit the ground instead. Ochako then got up and punched Izumi in the face. You beach, said Izumi as she grabbed Ochako with her quirk and slammed her into the ground repeatedly. No, screamed Izuku. The crowd booed Izumi for being too violent on Ochako, while All Might was proud of her. After Izumi was done slamming Ochako into the ground, she walked over to her. Give up yet? Said Izumi. Never, said Ochako as she grabbed Izumi's ankle and made her float. What the? Said Izumi. Ochako was about to grab her and throw her out of bounds, but then Izumi used her quirk to grab Ochako's fingers and put them together, canceling out the effect and dropping her to the ground. She then punched Ochako in the stomach with 1% of one for all. Not enough to kill her, but enough to knock her out of bounds. Ochako Uraraka is out of bounds. Izumi Yagi wins. Shouted Midnight. After that Ochako was taken to Recovery Girl, and Izuku rushed down to see her. On his way down he bumped into Izumi. What are you in such a rush for? Asked Izumi. Izuku didn't say anything, he just grabbed Izumi by the collar and slammed her into a wall. You listen here, you little beach. If you ever lay a hand on Uraraka again, I'll end you. Got that? Growled Izuku. Why yes, squeaked Izumi. Get your hands off of her right now. Boomed a voice. Izuku and Izumi turned to see All Might and Inko standing there. Izuku dropped her to the ground and Inko ran over to her. Are you okay, sweetie? Inko asked her. "I'm fine," said Izumi as 𝗵𝗃 helped her up. 𝗵𝗃 then turned to Izuku. "You little sh," said 𝗵𝗃 as she was about to slap Izuku in the face, but Izuku grabbed her wrist and started twisting it. "The only little sh here is your daughter. She nearly killed my friend," said Izuku before letting her go. "Well, maybe it's because your friend is weak. Like you 𝗳𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘. You shut the F up, old man," shouted Izuku. "Izuku Yagi, apologize to your father and sister this instant," said 𝗵𝗃. "I am not Izuku Yagi. He is not my father, she is not my sister, and you are not my mother. I know you both were planning to disown me when I turned 18. And I know about one for all too. So you all can go F yourselves," said Izuku before leaving. When Izuku entered Recovery Girl's office, he saw Ochako lying there in a hospital bed. He ran over to her and saw that Ochako was mostly healed. "Is she gonna be okay?" asked Izuku. "She'll be alright. I managed to heal most of her injuries. She just needs to take it slow," said Recovery Girl. Ochako slowly began to wake. "The hell?" His voice boomed. He then charged up energy in his left arm and punched Shoto out of the ring. Shoto Todoroki is out of bounds. Izuku Yagi wins, screamed Present Mike. The audience, minus All Might, 𝗵𝗃, Shoka, and the Bakugo twins, cheered for Izuku. "No!" screamed Shoto as he charged at Izuku again, and was about to punch him with his flaming left fist combined with One for All, but Izuku just punched him so strong it broke his jaw and knocked him out unconscious. "Ladies and gentlemen, Shoto Todoroki is disqualified from the sports festival," said Midnight. After that, Izuku went to Recovery Girl to be healed. The damage wasn't actually as bad as they thought it would be, since Izuku's helmet protected him from Todoroki's punches. "I don't know how your quirk was able to protect you from a beating like that, kid. But you're lucky that it did," said Recovery Girl. Tommy and Kimberly then entered the room. "Izuku, are you okay?" asked Kimberly. "I'm fine. The Green Ranger powers protected me," said Izuku. "Well, we're glad you're okay," Izuku said. Tommy. Suddenly, all of Class 1A, minus the Bakugo and Todoroki twins, burst through the door. "Izuku!" they all screamed. Ochako latched onto Izuku in tears like her life depended on it. "You had me so worried," cried Ochako. The class then noticed Tommy and Kimberly standing there. "Oh, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Oliver. Good to see you both again," said Ida, bowing to them. "You don't need to bow to us, kid. It's fine," said Tommy. "What are you guys doing here?" asked Kaminari. "We came to cheer Izuku on since he's one of us," said Kimberly. Izuku then noticed that Izumi was there too. "Why is she here?" asked Izuku, pointing to her. "What do you mean? You're my brother." "I just wanted to see if you're okay," said Izumi. "Oh, so now you care about me? Get the hell out of here. Don't you have a fight with Katsumi soon?" said Izuku. "I wanted to make sure you're okay first," said Izumi. "Leave my boyfriend alone," said Ochako. "Boyfriend?" said everyone minus Izuku, Ochako, Tommy, Kimberly, and Recovery Girl. "You two are dating," said Izumi. "Yeah, we hooked up right after you nearly killed her," Izumi said Izuku while glaring at her. "I didn't mean to be so hard on her," said Izumi. "Yes, you did. Now why don't you go crying to your boyfriend Shoto and F him again," said Izuku. "Again?" said Izumi. "That's right. During our fight he whispered in my ear and told me that you two had," said Izuku. "No, we didn't," said Izumi as she had no idea what Izuku was talking about. "I don't care. Just get out," said Izuku, not even looking at her. Izumi started to cry, "But Izuku dash, get out," shouted Izuku. Izumi ran out of the room crying. After that they went to their seats to watch Izumi's fight with Katsumi. As soon as the fight began, Izumi just grabbed Katsumi with her quirk and threw her out of bounds. "Well, that was a quick match. Izumi Yagi wins," shouted Midnight. And now it was down to the final two students, Izuku and Izumi. Izuku got ready for his fight against Izumi. Katsumi and Shoto were going to have a match to see who would be in third place, but Shoto had been disqualified, so Katsumi was automatically going to be in third place. So now it was just Izuku and Izumi left to see who would win. "Good luck," Izuku said Ochako before him on the cheek. "Thanks, babe," said Izuku. Izuku then entered the arena where Izumi already was. For our final match, we have Izuku Yagi versus Izumi Yagi, the two twins competing for champion. Shouted present Mike. Izuku pulled out his morpher. On begin, shouted Midnight. Dragonzo dash, but then Izumi used her quirk to throw Izuku's morpher out of bounds. What's this? Izuku Yagi has lost his piece of support equipment. Without it he won't be able to use his quirk. Scream Mike. Everyone in Class 1A started panicking, save for the Bakugo and Todoroki twins. Tommy and Kimberly also started panicking. All Might and Inko were happy though. Now Izumi is sure to win, said All Might. CRP. Guess I'm just gonna have to fight quirkless, said Izuku in his head. Give up yet? Asked Izumi. Never, said Izuku as he charged at Izumi. Izumi tried to grab Izuku with her quirk, but Izuku was moving too fast for her to grab onto. Izumi then tried to punch Izuku with One for All, but Izuku dodged her fist and punched her in the stomach instead. Izuku then kicked Izumi so strong it sent her flying out of bounds. Izumi Yagi is out of bounds. Izuku Yagi wins the sports festival, shouted Midnight. Everyone cheered for Izuku, save for All Might, Inko, Izumi, the Bakugo twins, and the Todoroki twins. No, shouted All Might. After that it was the medal ceremony. Izuku was in first place, Izumi was in second, and Katsumi was in third. Everyone wondered who was gonna give Izuku, Izumi, and Katsumi their medals, when suddenly they heard a familiar laugh. They all looked up to see All Might on top of the stadium. He leapt down in front of the three winners. Here are your medals, students, said All Might. He first gave the bronze medal to Katsumi. Here you are, young Katsumi. Keep training and you'll be a great hero, said All Might while hugging her. He then gave the silver medal to Izumi. Here you are, my daughter. Keep training and I'm sure you'll be the #1 hero, said All Might while hugging her. And finally he gave the gold medal to Izuku. And here you are, young Izuku, he said without even making eye contact with him, nor did he hug him, which confused the audience. And that concludes the sports festival, ladies and gentlemen, said Midnight. After the sports festival the class went back to the dorms and threw a party. Izumi, the Bakugo twins, and the Todoroki twins didn't show up to it though. Ida didn't either, since he left earlier near the end of the sports festival for some weird reason. During the party Izuku and Ochako walked over to Eri. Hey Eri, guess what? Me and Ochako are dating now. So now she really is your mommy, said Izuku. Yay, said Eri as she hugged Ochako, who hugged her back. Also Ochako, there's something I need to talk to you about, something in private real quick, said Izuku. Sure, said Ochako. After that they headed outside. When they were out there they ran into All Might. Give your Green Ranger powers to Izumi so she can become the #1 hero, said All Might. Go F yourself, said Izuku as he and Ochako walked away. After that they went to the roof of the school. Okay, so why are we here? Asked Ochako. Take my hand, Ochako, said Izuku. Ochako took his hand. But now what? Asked Ochako. Izuku activated his watch, and the next thing Ochako knew, they were in the command center. What the? Where are we? Asked Ochako. You are in the command center, young Ochako, said a voice. Ochako turned around to see Zordon. What the? Screamed Ochako. Calm down, Ochako. This is Zordon. He's this interdimensional being caught in a time warp, said Izuku. What caught in a what? Said Ochako. It's all right, Ochako. Calm down, said Kimberly as she, the other Rangers, and Alpha stepped out of the shadows. Kimberly. Tommy. Izuku, what's going on here? Asked Ochako. You and I have been teleported to the command center in America. This is the base of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, explained Luke. We were teleported here to their base? Asked Ochako. Yet, said Izuku. But how is that even possible? And what does this have to do with me? Asked Ochako. I want you to take my place, Ochako, as the next Pink Ranger, said Kimberly. What? Said Ochako in disbelief. Yeah. Me and the other Rangers are retiring soon. It's why Izuku's taken Tommy's place as the new Green Ranger, said Kimberly. But wait, how would I take your place? I don't have the quirk to turn into a Power Ranger, said Ochako. That's the thing, 𝗧𝗧𝗃𝗧. The Power Rangers aren't really the work of quirks. They're all quirkless and so am I, said Izuku. Wait, seriously, said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. Yeah. But Zordon saw the potential in us and recruited us in the fight against evil. He recruited me about a year ago, said Izuku. So that's what Izumi, All Might, and Green Magnet meant when they said you were quirkless, said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. Exactly. I was bullied my entire life for being quirkless. Mainly by Izumi, the 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 twins, and the Todoroki twins. And my parents completely neglected me, and I even found out that they were planning to disown me once I turned 18, said Izuku. This is very true. I have it all stored on the viewing globe. Take a look, 𝗧𝗃𝗃, said Zordon. 𝗧𝗃𝗃 looked into the viewing globe and saw all the horrible things Izuku's family and friends did to him. This is horrible. I know what it's like to be bullied. Growing up I was bullied for being poor, but my parents didn't neglect me or anything. You had it much worse than I did, Izuku, said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. I did. But we can pay you if you choose to become a Power Ranger, 𝗧𝗃𝗃. The other Rangers own businesses all across America. They can pay you so you can help your parents, said Izuku. All right, I'll do it, said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. Great. Welcome to the Power Rangers, 𝗧𝗃𝗃. You've already had training. So you're already ready to take my place, said Kimberly as she handed 𝗧𝗃𝗃 her power coin and morpher. 𝗧𝗃𝗃 inserted the power coin into the morpher. So how do I use this thing? Asked 𝗧𝗃𝗃. You just raise it into the air and shout 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃, and then the morpher does the rest of the work, said Kimberly. 𝗧𝗃𝗃 took a deep breath and raised her morpher into the air. 𝗬𝗧𝗏𝗃, she shouted as she morphed into the Pink Ranger. Oh my god, this is crazy. I've never felt anything like this, said 𝗧𝗃𝗃. That's what I said when I first morphed into the Green Ranger, said Izuku. Also Izuku, there's something else you should know. I think I have found a way to expose your parents and bullies to world for what they really are, said Zordon. Izuku's eyes widened. Really? How? He asked. We can display the contents of the viewing globe onto live television, said Zordon. Is that even possible? Asked Izuku. I'm not sure. We've never tried transferring content from the viewing globe to another device. Billy and I are trying to figure out a way. But until then, just be patient, said Zordon. All right, said Izuku. Meanwhile, All Might arrived in an alleyway in Hosu where he saw a man killing a pro hero there. I need to talk to you, said All Might. The man turned around to face All Might. All Might. What are you doing here? Asked the hero killer Stain. I need you to kill someone for me, said All Might. Who is it? Asked Stain. My BSTRD son, Izuku Yagi. Also known as the Green Ranger, said All Might. You want your own son dead. What has he possibly done to deserve death? Asked Stain. He's a corrupt hero, only in it for fame and money. He even threatened my daughter. Here's a video of it, said All Might as he held up his phone to show Stain the security footage from the sports festival. Little did Stain know that the video was edited. It showed Izuku grabbing Izumi and slamming her into a wall in a hallway. You listen here, you little beach. I'll end you. Got that? Said Izuku in the edited video. Very well. I'll be sure to kill him when I get the chance, said Stain. Do it soon, said All Might before leaving.